Sorry,
Sorry,
Sarah. No, you
Neo,
got soup. You
and
got
then the
money.
floor's coming back to you in a second. Neo with the big 10 says, thanks for having me on. Great chatting with everyone. And cheers. Thank you, Neo. We love you. And Inquisitive Archivist with the big 5 says, show us that cute dog again. I'll even solo lay out that puppies. Hi, little weenie.
Oh, what a cute baby.
Yeah,
Well,
good
We
Umbreon.
love the little weenie.
I thought this was an interesting chat, so I'll take a look at it.
He's a good boy.
I love dogs.
So-
Okay, and then I've got Cleaner coming up next. And for the record, backstage, I still have IFBB, Mr. Marte. I have 10th Man. I have DJ Kuda. Oh my God, I haven't seen DJ Kuda in years. We have Z, and then we have Z Typhoid. So if you want any of them up, you know what to do. You got to boot someone off to make some room because there's only allowed 10. Could you imagine
I'm
more
leaving.
than 10 people being on a panel?
But we'll watch. I'm just here for
That
the
would be
chat.
absolutely.
It would be a
Want
nightmare.
to.
It would be
I
chaos.
mean, 10 is already a. I was away.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
AJ was
It was-
sort of intuiting that most of us we could be cucks without knowing it. That's
No.
what I took. That's what I read.
Accusations. That's what I
I'll
got
leave
from
the
that too,
floor
actually.
back to you, Duck. You take it away wherever
Yeah, that
I
was-
interrupted
No,
you
I'm just
on.
gonna say that's like a trigger thing, right? Because like millennials, like okay, real talk.
Whoa,
Like millennials grew
I
up,
couldn't be lying.
you know, in the age of
That's
totally
crazy.
unregulated porn. So like,
But you
the
can
stuff you would
judge.
see
You
online,
can certainly
not only is it
judge
like
how
sort of
people are.
questionable, but it's
You know whether they're
uh,
trustworthy or
like,
not.
to
Maybe
take it
not over
lightly,
text, but over
like,
phone.
But
Truly.
the other side of it is that like, you know, you see like cheating porn, you see homemade porn, all this other weird stuff, and so like, you know, like
Do
What's
we?
your favorite
like, I can't-
genre?
No,
like,
no.
my favorite genre,
Midgets.
you know, I think gilfs is like the default, but it depends on
Okay.
you know if I'm drinking or not.
Oh shit!
All
I'm
right, what happens if
commenting
you're
too soon.
drinking?
We swap it
Depends
back over.
on, you know, if I'm drinking or not.
All right, what happens if you're drinking?
Gilfs is default.
Lemon
That's
party.
default?
I think.
Gilfs are default?
Yeah.
So what do we got here?
I don't know
Holy
what else.
crap.
Dogs are gay. I
Yeah,
think
the
Ryan's
That's
trying to get
cool.
some
You're just
pussy.
coming into vogue.
Honestly, I support that. Real talk,
Well,
some e
Well,
pussy.
and I want a
crazy.
conversation afterwards. I feel like Spicoli needs to be here to support me on this, but
Mm.
I don't
So
know.
we
I
what
can't
else
tell if
would
you're
you-
trolling me or not, but right on.
I'm fucking with you.
No,
So
you're
it
not.
sounds
You
like
So,
part of the description
realistically-
is to just if you feel like you're an incel, is to get off social media and actually go out. And,
I think it's
pursue
just
women
it's even
face to
further
Stop being a
makes-
coward. That's the thing.
I don't
All
really
of
think
the spoilers
or-
are so rich.
Fucking crunchy.
I don't really
have
think that you are
communication.
approaching the prompt. I mean, realistically, right? As men, we all know to some degree, most women in the world want a man to lead them, to protect them, to take care of them,
Sarah, man.
to be there for the
Sarah,
dark days, all of that. You know,
What?
if you don't frame yourself, if you don't build yourself up to show yourself off as a valuable man, then you have nothing to complain about.
What do you
It's
think?
our
You
fault.
should just have.
It is our
been
fault
built as a
100%.
man. You shouldn't.
Everything in
It
society
is some
straight from where
weird,
it is
insane
or
thing
where it
about
was.
always constantly
It's our
building.
fault.
Like what part?
If we
like
didn't
your
like the
business,
elites
yourself, your
doing what
family,
they
build
do, we
those
could have
things.
stopped them. If we don't
What-
like
what are
women
you
doing
doing?
what they do, we all collectively
What are
decide
you
to
doing
stop.
fucking
If we,
trying
you know,
in the back of the gym
if
for?
we decide
Like,
to do
just
something,
don't be building yourself.
like make
like
ourselves
that.
valuable again to women, they will value us.
We got Crucible fan.
Yeah, have fun. Fire at will. And I think Neve's already on it. Happy hunting chat to the Spurger in the chat.
Sarah, what do you think about that? I think it's just disingenuous for us men to speak when we have a woman on the panel. Do you think Mr. Cleaner 409 is correct in that statement, or do you disagree?
Honestly,
Damn, I
I
miss
will
the
say
Spurg.
very honestly, I wasn't
fucked
paying
up.
quite attention. I was looking into the Spurger in the chat. So if you could give me a brief two-liner of what you were saying, Mr. Cleaner, I will respond.
Yo, I'm
She
trying
was
to
doing
see
her
this
job.
Yes.
Well, I was saying, I mean, really and truly, like, okay, Amp said, or Tomato said, and the other guy, Bear or whatever,
Already too long.
the same thing about the social media apps. They just kind of amplify things, right? There's
Mhm.
always been an issue in society, and the issue has been, in women's eyes, there aren't enough valuable men. So as men, we need to take the reins on this, make ourselves more valuable to the women that we want to attract. If we don't do that, then we have nothing to complain about.
Yeah,
I
no,
think when women are
I,
complaining,
You see the true
sorry.
person.
sorry, he wanted me to. I agree. I think
don't know, though.
if you're gonna sit on your beanbag in your mama's basement and eat Cheetos all day long, I don't think you have the right to complain that women aren't interested in you. There might be a woman out there that finds that attractive, but that's going to be few, and it's not going to be the average population of women. And I think that overall, you need to recognize that if you want to be that top
Can social
10%
media
of
be
men that
good?
women want, well, you need to do things that the
I don't
top
know.
10% men are doing.
It is because you
Right?
see people's
I
true
will
selves.
say
Like if they're
jokes.
super fake on
I
social
like
media, you
funny
know they're
men,
fake as
right?
fuck.
That does help,
You just
but
do.
it's not everything.
You know,
I
if they're
think
so
if you're
focused
like, to me, I
on
look at it,
wealth
if
and
you're
money,
not taking care of
you
yourself
know exactly
physically,
who
then
they
how are
are.
you going to take care of
I
me?
mean, shit.
If you're
It
not
doesn't matter
working
what
towards
you
like
know
bigger, better
photographic
world, like, then
strategies they
why would
employ or
I
whatever the
trust that
fuck
you
or
would take care of
creative,
our
you know,
kids and want the best world for them? And you're not like, are you
solutions.
willing to
But
build that? Like, I will support every single bit of you building what you want for our family, but I'm not going to do the building for you, right? I mean, I know obviously it's a partnership and we're working together, right? I'm
she
not saying
will
that, but
build
like,
her
if you
own
want to
shit.
build that dream world, like,
Oh,
you have to show me that you are
that
capable of
makes
doing it. I
sense?
don't need that dream
I'm high
world
as
here or
fuck
now,
and drunk.
but I need to see that you
What
can
did I
do
even
it and that
say?
you're motivated to do it and so on and so forth.
Oh,
Yeah, I think we
Well,
feel the
the other
same
just
way.
side of that,
A
she's
though,
saying
lot
she
of
wouldn't
two
build
conservative,
things
his
can
shit,
traditional
be.
men feel the
which is
same way.
curious
They
because
want the same thing, Sarah, from the
if
opposite.
there is a
You
man,
know, there's like roles
it's
to
likely
fill,
that
and
he
we
would
just
build
want
her
those roles
shit.
to fill. And I think right now we're
Did you
dealing
And
with
say
this is
holes to
crazy.
fill?
Yeah, he
roles.
did.
Roles. Roles. Get your minds out of the get your mind out of the gutter, buddy.
Too
No,
late.
Oh shit! Hit him with the
roles.
motherfucking
I'm
beauty.
talking about
Go
roles.
ahead. Try to finish your serious comment.
I just think we're losing the grasp of what our roles are.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. But roles being filled makes us feel validated and loved, right?
So
Think
two
how much
things can
better holes
be
being
right at the
filled would
same
feel.
time, right? Two things can be correct at the same time. The other side of that is women do have inflated egos on these social apps, right? That's just a given,
What? I'm
right?
perfect and beautiful, and
You're not.
I
You
am a
don't count.
full
You don't count.
10 stunner.
No, but I mean, but
True,
here's the thing.
because
Of course they do, right? Because they've had like 50 fucking plus years of propaganda, like Disney princess shit, and like, oh, you gotta like, you need your Prince Charming. He has to be perfect. He has to be like 6'5" with an 8-pack and have a 2-foot dick that ejaculates money, right? That's what basically they need, or they're looking
especially
for.
Yeah, that's what's in all the
What,
Disney
what do you
movies.
what
From
do you
what I
guys
saw.
what do you guys think? Like, I really don't like see women asking for high value men. Like, what I see is women dating people that they think that they'll be compatible with, and then it's just like
easy.
they
Why do I
don't
throw that shit
enjoy
in there
it
like
at
that?
all.
I'm retarded.
You know?
Well,
Yeah,
I think
I actually want to speak to this because I think that what Cleaner was saying about like men needing to like step up their game, I think that's absolutely the case, but it's not always in the way it's sold, like the Andrew Tate kind of like, oh, they need to become like this hyper masculine guy. Like sometimes that means like really practicing emotional intelligence and understanding like how you're making people feel and how they're feel like and being able to communicate your feelings in these things like that women
but
do
brother,
appreciate, even if
with
they
the
don't
glass,
think they appreciate it, they actually
hold
do.
on.
Okay, they love this shit.
AJ, you can shut your mouth and go fill your holes backstage. And then I've got pro Mr. Marte coming up. And next in line, I've got 10th man back in. I've got DJ Kuda and I've got Z Typhoid waiting backstage. You know what to do, chat, if you want to send somebody else to go fill their holes backstage.
So Ryan actually touched on a really good point that a lot of people miss, right? Emotional intelligence. This is something that a lot of people conflate. They don't understand what emotional intelligence in a man is and emotional intelligence in a woman. The first sign of emotional intelligence in a woman is when she has weapons and doesn't use them. The same thing with the man. If you're capable of using your strength to combat something, but you hold yourself back, you restrain, you refrain, you don't.
Those Socrates
That has
engage.
nothing to do with emotional intelligence.
No, that does. That actually does. If you're able to
Regulation.
hold back your weapons and not use them out on the world, you're showing a virtue.
Well, I think we're mixing up emotional intelligence. Emotional
Self-control.
intelligence is understanding and like me being able to see how everybody's interacting and know like who needs a little more coddling here and who needs this. It's external with other people. Emotional intelligence is viewing other people. I don't think it's internal regulation.
I think it's
No,
both.
I
I think
said
it's,
that was
it's
the
both
first
self-regulation and having
I said
external
that's
like
the
social
first
skills
step.
and empathy. But it's also about your own internal motivation, understanding like your self-regulation and stuff like this is also part of emotional intelligence. Absolutely.
Right. What I was speaking
emotional
to is the
intelligence is
steps
not
of
bad.
gaining emotional intelligence. The first step would be to control and regulate your own anger and your own weaponization of what you have
Emotional
that are weapons.
intelligence.
Men, it
That
would
is
be our
so
strength.
emo.
Women, it would be their social destruction of people, right? So you do that first. Once you've engaged in that and you've completed that, then you can go on to moving on to things like figuring
Shit.
out what it is that you're feeling when you're talking about something
What's
with
his
people
name?
as you're growing as a young man
What's his
in your
name?
teenage years before you become a man, a grown man, an adult. You know, you start learning these
Yeah,
things.
this man's
Not
wild
everyone
with it.
progresses through these steps, though. Not everyone. Some people skip a few because of the way that social media is, because of the way that technology has maintained everything
I
right in
find
their
this
hands.
interesting, right? Because
Even all the way back to
I
schools.
think that
Schools do
when
this
you're
too.
trying to
They
complete
teach
a
kids
task, right?
engage in your wants,
there's two
engage in your
types of
feels.
behavior.
Shit,
How
that's
many
some good
times
shit.
have
That's
each
some
of
good
us
shit.
watched a dating podcast or anything like that, and women say, "I feel," whenever you really expected them to say, "I think this." They say, "I feel," and we're seeing it more in men now too. They say, "I feel" instead of "I think." It's because this is what school has pushed into them. They skipped a couple of steps. They didn't learn to engage emotionally correctly.
I don't think
What do
it's
you-
necessarily school. I don't think so. So a lot of the people in the dating market that I've run into are raised by single mothers. And that's a huge problematic issue that we're finding in the dating market. So now when you see a lot of influx in the dating market, you don't have this, I know what a
Holy
man is
shit.
like, and I don't
He's
have any
right.
type of reference as far as to what to even look for. And also another problem is, I know I'm jumping from point to point, a lot of women think they're 10s or above average when they're actually averaging averages now in insult in the dating market. A lot of women don't even know what they're looking for, let alone have fathers. So
Well, and
that's a
that's
problem.
the thing. You're right about that. You're right about that. But that actually speaks to what I was saying. You know,
Yeah.
schools teaching young ladies and young men to engage with their wants and their feelings. What happens
that's
is
his
when
truth,
you say
you know?
something to them, they hear what they feel. They don't hear what you're
I'm on
actually
the
saying.
front
They don't
lines
hear
of
your
this.
words.
Yeah.
They hear what they feel.
Like,
So
actually, though.
if you tell them you're average, they think,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm ugly."
Yeah.
But that's not what you're saying. You're just
I'm
saying,
trying to
"No,
be ugly as
you're an
fuck.
average person." Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Growing out my beard is
90% of the world is average people. Why are you taking that as an
Yeah, but
insult?
that's because in that context, it's the
Mildly
absence of a
surprised
compliment, right?
that
You
my
guys
face
set up
isn't
to
retarded
give a
baby.
compliment,
It's like,
and you
know,
chose
a lot
not
of
to
dudes
give
with
the
beards.
compliment.
You shave it off.
That's
they look
why.
a little.
Yeah,
It's
you're
not
not feeding them
baby-like.
anything.
You're just
So
following
the
your
beard
weight
is a
average
huge advantage.
from
But
day to
me,
day.
I mean,
That's
hell
what you're
no.
doing. Cleaner.
That's what's up.
Me? No, my wife died a year and a half ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Animalistic.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Kevin?
I understand your point, though. And yeah, if she dressed up real nice, I would tell her, "Hey, you look nice in that dress." You know, I would
I
pay her a
see.
compliment where it was due. But she knew just as well as I do. I'm an average guy. She was an average woman. We both knew that. We told each other just what we thought. There was no problem with that. We were
This is
honest
boring.
with each other. But we also grew up in a generation where it was okay to be honest with each other, and people wouldn't get all feely about things.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what do you think about the biggest weapon that men need to control is like being able to leave?
Being able to leave?
Yeah.
Before you answer that, Kings and Dreams is making his exit for the evening. He was the guest for the night, and thank you so
Damn.
much, Kings, for
Called
coming
out
on
like
and bringing
that.
such a good topic. And I'll
Yep,
leave the
in the
floor
DMs
to
like,
you
hey,
to make your
I'm gonna
exit.
slide.
Just real quick for Kings. Just
And
real
that's
quick for
real.
Kings.
Sure.
Did we answer your question? You feel good now?
What question?
I don't know, just like the topic. You feel better now? Did we answer
Incels
all
were
the
always
questions about
there.
incels?
I mean, I never
Holy
felt
shit.
bad, but
Okay, good.
I
Okay,
got
good.
it though.
Okay, good.
No, but so first and foremost, you know, Sarah, thank you for having me. You know, I gotta give you your flowers because I see how much your channel has grown, the hard work that you put in. You know what I mean? So I remember you know, your channel. I think you have what, like two or 300 subscribers. Now you surpassed me, so now I'm gonna have to catch up to you. But you know, excellent topic. Thank you for everyone that chimed in.
I mean,
here.
no, incels is a new
Conversation,
word.
definitely appreciate it. I appreciate all these different perspectives. I think the most important thing is to have dialogue and make sure that we have a healthy dialogue. And it seems like tonight's conversation was really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed everyone's perspectives, and I appreciate you know, having conversations with you all. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kings. We appreciate you.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
You as well.
Take it easy, man.
And while we're on the topic, a K2 keeps on trucking in with the big 5. Says kick meth man for 10th man. Ryan, you're going to the back, and I've got 10th man coming up. And also, that's
How
how
you
we
doing?
have officially. We're good.
There's at least half of us.
Oh hell yeah!
That's
you
how we
doing?
have officially. We're good.
There's at least half of us that seem like that definition fits better.
We've officially declared that when somebody says we had to figure it out the first couple times, but it's official. It is meth man is Ryan, and that's just how it's going to be. I don't think Ryan looks like he's on meth. I think there's a lot of other characters out
Looks
there.
like he's on Adderall.
I would agree with Adderall, but definitely not meth. Definitely not meth. All right,
Adderall's a type of meth,
Kuda.
I guess.
Yeah,
What do you
what's
got
going
for us?
on? I wanted to talk to Kings and Dreams. I want to talk about the topic. You guys brought up a lot of good points. Points that I've brought up in the past too about, you know, how the phone is. I call it an
Adderall's just-
external organ, and like millennials,
Dude,
like
don't say that
well,
shit.
my generation. I know the millennial that I am. Half my
Never
life was
touching the
going
phone again.
outside, and then the other half was technology. But even when technology was sitting in, I still went outside. You know, it wasn't really. I didn't really. You know, the internet in its infant stages, we were beta testing it. It wasn't really what it is today. Now, you know, it wasn't monetized as much and stuff. And with the dating apps and stuff, it's crazy with the dating apps. Like it does mess up a lot of men. You know what I'm saying when it comes to dating, because if you're just swiping right and swiping left, a lot of these guys mentally think that they've actually approached those women, or they get the chance to tell certain women no. Certain women, even if they're undesirable or unattracted to those women, they didn't approach them. You know, most of the people that you're gonna see on the internet, on these dating sites and stuff like that, in real life, you guys would have just walked right past. Y'all would have walked right past each other. You know, y'all would have walked right past each other. Wouldn't say anything. Wouldn't even be thinking about dating or anything like that. So, you know,
Guys and girls.
yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of those dating sites like Tinder and OkCupid and all that other stuff is really set up for women. It's not really set up for men. So, you know,
It's for crazy people. A lot of crazies.
it
on
kind of
there.
is. Yeah, but I mean, with the internet though, everybody's dating pool rose. You know,
So
and then
DJ, can I ask about that? How does that change when we're talking about like a digital footprint or something? Like that's got to be so crazy. Like I used to work as a busser and a server, so if I wanted to date, there were maybe 10 girls my age that worked at the restaurant. You know, not that I'd be like a creeper at work, but like that's where that would happen, right? Like, doesn't that make sense? Like, so shouldn't, you know, I'm just curious how you think technology actually plays into the dynamics, if that makes sense, or you know, whatever kind of you got to say.
Technology has risen everybody's dating pool. It even made it to the point where you don't have to date people at work. You never date people where you work. You never shit where you eat. You know, you don't date people at work. You know,
I thought
you
that
put
was
people
man
in,
code anyway.
right. You put that person directly in position to play with your finances. You
When
never
it
date
ends,
where you
it
work.
ends bad.
Yeah, unless you about to leave the job, like if you about to leave in like a week or two, of course, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But you know, you can grab somebody out the door. But it's that the thing is that a lot of people spend time at work, so the tension is there, and you see them all the time and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So you get a bunch of chances to, do certain things at work, but you never date people at your job. But everybody's dating pool rose with the internet. And honestly, I hate to say it like this, but like a lot of feminists and average women, they utilize the internet to kill pretty privilege.
I would
Yeah,
say
So
conversely,
they
the
do.
dating
I
pool,
got a
the
I
dating
got a
pool is actually
whole
reversed
show
too.
coming out on that.
The camera
Huh?
angles, bro.
Well, this
Yeah,
is
they
reversed too at the same time. We've had dating pools lower at the same time too. So if you're talking about people chasing the only 20%, imagine now we have an 80% that's never really existed before in an
right.
exponential matter online. So I would say, since you're saying it's rising, I would say that there's also a lowering as well too. So I think that a lot of people on dating apps, they just don't know how to present themselves online, let alone in
Well,
person, like you were
that's
saying.
true. Yeah,
So
that's true. I talk about that too. But the
Yeah.
thing is that I mean, and I'm glad that you said that because I never thought about that some people's dating pool will be lowering. But the thing
yes,
is that the dating pool is rising so much you won't feel it lowering because you still have more options than what you would have originally went out and
if
and,
you're
and
a
got.
woman, yes, the paradox of choice
Well, no,
does
a
exponentially
So
man,
rise.
no,
a
a
man
man
can
too.
too.
A man. It's the same thing for men, but it goes back to what you were
I'd
saying.
say
If
it's
you
very
don't know how to
illusory, actually.
No, but this is the thing.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to present yourself online,
Right.
people that would have considered you a candidate probably won't consider you a candidate now. If you don't know how to talk to people online, like I tell the younger generation now, why are you running around asking women for their phone numbers? Get their Instagram. Because you're asking goofy ass questions anyway. You don't know how to follow up on these questions. Dating is not supposed to feel like you're on a job interview. And if you get somebody's Instagram, literally it answers all your questions. You can see all their outfits. You can see if they have a
Are
kid.
you
You
in a
can see what they
relationship?
make like. Huh? Me?
Are you in a?
No, no, no. I'm single at the moment. I'm traveling, but I run a whole show. I've been doing this for a long time. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I've been
Let
in the
me
space for it.
interrupt for just a moment. Mr. Honest Abe Dinkus is going to make his exit. Do you want to give your final closing thoughts, Abe?
I'll just say thank you, Sarah. This is a great topic, and the more we talk about it, the more it will help.
Thank you, Abe. We appreciate
Later,
having
Abe.
you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Peace, brother.
See you, man.
And while Mr. Abe is making his exit, I've got Anson, the chairman of the board, coming up. And then next in line, we're getting back to the beginning. We've got AJ, Ryan, 10th Man, and the Ivory Fool all waiting backstage. So if you want to see them back up, you know the drill. And back to you, DJ Kuda. I believe you're going off, and then I do want to hear from Paige.
Yeah, no, it was nothing really. I was just saying, like a lot of guys, is better to get the Instagram, but a lot of guys don't want their projection that they project onto women destroyed. So I can get why a lot of guys don't want to see certain things, but
I mean, you want the Instagram so you can creep on her before you talk to her, right?
no, it's not the creep on her, but the information. A lot of guys don't know how to follow up on the information. They're just aimlessly asking questions. They're just throwing shit at the wall, hoping that it sticks.
It's a lot of
And a
intel.
woman is at.
Isn't that how people
Yeah, I
are
mean,
supposed to get to
People
know
got to
each
learn how
other?
to
though?
talk on the phone, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, I think
I
that
mean, yeah,
people
you
should
do
get
have
to
to
know
do
each
that.
other
I
person to
mean,
person,
I
not
mean,
not
I know,
lurking
I
around in
know,
the social
no,
media.
I know how to talk, but sometimes it's better for y'all to get this social media than to because
DJ,
Instagram is low risk. It's low risk. It's more low risk. A lot of y'all don't know how to ask a certain question. I know how to ask. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I run a radio station talking about this. So that's what
DJ,
it
I
is.
want to go ahead and add to what you were saying. A lot of the times when people offer an Instagram, what they don't know is they're exposing and magnifying their own life that they built up and developed. If you do not have anything going for yourself, if you don't have anything else, you will be exposed on Instagram. So that's the advantage that people have. So if you're a real life, whatever it is, it gets exposed. If you don't have a life like what Sarah was talking about in your mom's basement, your basement gets exposed even more so. You either have to fake it or make it. Instagram is like the real deal when it comes to exposure. You're not posting fake shit, I mean, if you are,
Well, I
it's gonna
mean,
get exposed.
well, I mean, I tell people to go get the Instagram because it's more low risk. Like when people ask for a number, it's kind of more like a personal
Yeah.
thing for some weird reason. But like you can
Well,
do
it's a
all of that.
personal
You can
move.
do
I
all of
think
that
that
on
you need to make that move if that's your intentions. If you ask for somebody's Instagram, that's
I think
That's
people
not
might
expected.
feel safe, especially in
Safer
today's
given the
age.
Instagram.
You feel safer giving a social media versus a phone
Yeah.
because your phone number is now like your social security number, right?
Right.
And with it, you can
Yes.
find a lot of information about a person. Whereas Instagram, you can kind of minimize what's put out there. You don't even have to put your real name on there, so on and so forth. So I feel like maybe if you're, especially if you're doing like a cold approach on a girl at a bar or something like that, and she might be a little coy or something, I would recommend starting with social media. But if she's very
There you
comfortable
go.
with you, then I would say just go straight for the phone number. But I don't know if it's necessarily better in a way of one thing versus another, especially if you're meeting in person, you know what they look like. But if it's online dating, I can understand the safety feature built into that of asking for social media. And I think Tinder even lets you link it up anyways. And a lot of people put that on there, like, here's my handle, follow me here.
It
It's
is.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I
different
mean, we live
layers
Chicks
too.
have that. Don't girls have that same problem? Like in terms of, you know, balancing like introductions and social media stuff, right? Like,
No.
I mean, we
one of the
no, we
realities is that like, someone's like like, what do you like to
think
read?
women do not have the
Like
same problem.
I don't actually give a shit, but like, are you a person who reads, or do you go
we
to the
live in
gym,
a
or do you plan things with friends? Like,
no, but this is
all
the
of that
thing.
stuff sort of coming out in an authentic way is something that's really important.
No, it's not
We live in
important.
this.
See,
We live in a
the
society right
online stuff,
now where.
the
Yeah, go
online
ahead.
stuff has made it so that all this other ancillary crap is more important. It used to be, hey, you look hot, let's hook up, right? All this extra crap about where do you like to spend your time? Do you like to go on? That's all bullshit, right? It's all about, hey, you're hot, I like you. Let's go do shit together. That's what dating ought to be. All this other stuff is just extra crap that's complicated because of social media. It's all nonsense.
Okay,
People want to feel like they have a personality and stuff. Like I said, we live in a society right now where there's really no such thing as privacy. The internet knows everything about you. You got people that spend their whole life on the internet. Their carbon footprint. People don't even have a social life anymore. They have a social media. And
Yeah, I
like
agree with
what
that.
I'm saying,
It's
yeah,
terrible.
like what I'm saying is, yeah, they lean into who they want to be on social media. Social media allows people to be who or whatever they want to be. And what I'm saying is that like when people talk about like, hey, like, creep on the Instagram, it's not about creeping on the Instagram. You can see if she likes pizza. Oh, she hangs out at this spot. Oh, she goes here, she goes there. So when you invite them out on a date, be like, hey, let's go to the pizza spot on such and such. You don't got to say, hey, I saw you there and I know you like there. You know what I'm saying? You could be
That's
like,
creepy.
I mean, no, I mean, yeah, you don't say that,
What I say?
but you can say, okay,
That's
I know
wild.
what type of food she likes. I know what she likes to eat.
But then
I
that
know
kind
where
of
she
kills
likes
the
to
whole
go.
art of getting to know somebody. If you see it all on
No, it
social
doesn't just.
media, why, like, why
Nah, you
even
can tell,
what?
like, you just see,
It's
you
like
put
There's
it's
no
yourself
like
in
intrigue.
none of
hey,
that.
hey, TJ Kuda, I got you. I
Yeah.
guess what? I got you Lord of the Rings trilogy book for Christmas. But here's the gift. I want you to open it up and be surprised. Uh,
See, you gotta be more. You gotta be more
I saw
tactful,
I
Sarah.
saw
You
you
gotta
went to
be
the
like,
movie
I'm going
premiere and
to the.
checked in there on Facebook several years
Ugh,
ago.
No, you don't.
cringe.
Y'all in
and
creep.
let me
Y'all in
let
creep
me
mode. No, you gotta say, I'm going to a Lord of the Rings expo this weekend. I got some extra tickets.
See,
You
that
lay in the
that's
Well,
the
let
trap.
thing
me let
though.
me
Let me all
interrupt here.
into it.
Let me
Why are you
interrupt.
doing all the
Money
gameplay?
always interrupts. Shut up, Flo. Ghost comes in
No,
with a
you
big
shut up.
5 and says, all you have to do is ask her how you can get a hold of her, so maybe you can go out and do something sometime. Let her
Good,
decide how. That's a
good
great
advice.
idea. And then if she feels
Yeah.
uncomfortable giving her phone number, she could decide, and so on and so forth. Um, Mr. sends in the big 50 on Cash App and says, ask the panel how situations happen. That's a good question. How do situations happen?
Oh, I can give you one. You talk about with chicks, situations happen with chicks. I've had
Situation-
lots of really good luck.
What they call situationships.
Oh, situationships. I got one of them. I can talk about that too. Yeah, so it's just two people that want to get it on. It ain't complicated.
The chick decides to spread her legs early.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty much all it takes, and then
Yes.
they've entered into a situationship.
Yeah.
No commitment, no courtship.
Yeah, and there never will be commitment typically in something like that because you
What was
guys
it
are
supposed to do?
say
It's
once.
shacking up. It's shacking up.
Yeah.
It happens
Sad
when
part is-
two incompatible
That
people
part
get
sleeping
together
before
and they stay
marriage,
together for
essentially.
convenience.
That part, the irony of it is the situation. Is the commitment. The situation is the commitment. That's the irony of the
D-
whole thing.
DJ Kuda, I want to
But
bring
it
something up
never,
real
it
quick.
never
And
achieves
it's a very,
another level.
Right,
so
right. That's how far.
there's a very cautionary thing that's happening in dating right now. It's called "Are We Dating the Same Man?" And believe it or not, I've been exposed on this site, and it wasn't for dating. It was because I talked to one woman one week, and then the next week I talked to another woman, and somehow it appeared like I was talking to two women at the same time, even when I stopped talking.
Right.
And I got these women, it was like 15 trashing me over the period of like 7 years. I'm like, how the fuck does
It
Samantha
didn't
know
appear
this
that
about
way. They
shit.
felt that way.
trash?
I've certainly
They
been
felt that
slammed.
way, bro.
Yeah.
I got a
It didn't
50
Yeah, they
appear
do
that
that.
way.
They do that on Facebook and stuff like that. But guess
Yeah.
what? If not with both of those women, just take it as free advertisement because other women
Yeah,
gonna start
yeah,
being in your inbox and shit. So
Yeah,
for
just
sure.
take that as advertisement. Just carry it like a player, honestly, because
So-
it's free
That is
advertisement.
fucked. That is fucked, honestly. God
It's,
damn.
it's not. It's
Just
not a
don't take
site
no.
for women
Just
to
don't
warn
take no
them.
I'm
woman
aware of
serious.
that, and it's just
Don't
like
take-
shit, dog.
Don't take.
Like,
Don't take no
no
woman
wonder.
seriously that's from that group though, because if she in that group, then her mind ain't.
No,
she
I
ain't in the
agree.
right.
I agree. So it was originally set up to warn people about, cheating and infidelity. It's just a
Yeah, yeah.
trashing site for men to dump on men, and that's really all
Yeah,
it is. So
All right.
Yeah. It's a lot of dirty Mac.
Here is where I'm gonna have some fun.
oh shit,
All
throat
right,
cancer.
Duck.
Yep.
Do you eat the kitty cat?
Not answering. That was also something racist Trump said, but
What?
Okay. Mo, do you eat kitty cat?
Hell no, that's gay as hell.
What?
Flo, do you
These
eat
things,
kitty
these
cat?
answers keep getting worse and worse. I ate some this morning.
All right. Cleaner, do you eat kitty cat?
No, not right now.
Well, not
Don't have
right
anybody
now.
here.
Do you willingly eat the JJ?
If that's
If-
what my woman wants, yeah. I
All
don't have a
right,
problem.
I'll let
Doesn't
you
seem
stay.
very.
DJ Kuda, do you eat the JJ?
I have before, very good at it, but these days, nope.
Z Typhoid, do you eat the JJ?
Yes.
Marte.
You're only saying that because you don't want to get kicked.
Yeah,
no,
he knows
no,
it
not
too.
at all. You can kick me. It's bedtime. You can kick me
Marte,
easy.
Do you like to eat the JJ?
you talking about kitty cat or vajayjay? Because I've been to Asian restaurants before, so we can
Oh
talk about.
shit.
The fact that we have to question
Oh,
that
shit.
bothers me. Caucasian Sasquatch, do you eat vajayjay?
Only every chance I get. Why do you think I'm such a poo diddy?
Anson, do you eat vajayjay?
Do you have to ask? Of course I do. That's one of my favorite menu items.
Okay.
See,
and
these are the
then-
guys I
hold
fuck
on,
with.
hold on. Ivory Full, do you eat vajayjay?
Oh yeah.
Coder, do you eat vajayjay?
Of course.
No, he doesn't
Alright.
either. I don't believe that.
AJ, do you eat vajayjay?
I think
his floor is slippery. Look at this guy.
I think it's expected of men in our society. in
He's
terms-
got wet
In a
floor
committed
signs out all
relationship.
around his house for that shit.
Look,
In a
listen.
committed
If you
relationship especially.
want women to give you a head all day, when you pick your partner, you might as
Yes.
well return the favor, folks.
Okay, let me
I don't
ask
mind
you
being
this
chapped.
way. Let me ask you this way. Flo, do you enjoy eating vajayjay?
I do.
Cleaner, do you enjoy it?
As long as she is,
No, that's not an answer. Are you enjoying it?
I do, but not if it's not something they don't like. If it's just
Okay.
it feels weird. Then you know what I mean.
Okay, I'll let you say. Typhoid, do you enjoy it?
I don't even need oxygen.
All right.
Fuck yeah.
AJ, do you
Michael Phelps.
enjoy it?
I think into your 30s.
Ryan,
Murder.
Ryan, do you enjoy it?
I'll say most of the time, but not everyone tastes good all the time. Like there's some
You
nasty
gotta
pussy
check
out there,
the
let's
oil
be real.
first.
Yeah, she better be
we're
vegan.
we are presuming all utopia vajayjay going on here. Okay, it's perfect.
Sure, yeah, of
Smells
course, yeah.
great.
This is
It's
familiar,
fine.
friendly box.
Are you putting on your scuba mask and going in like Scuba Steve?
All day.
Okay, Ivory, do you enjoy?
I prefer
it?
the skinny dip.
Yeah, that's what put me in, coach.
Sasquatch, I already know your feelings, and Ansi, enjoy it.
Oh, I more than enjoy it. I'm passionate about it. That's yeah, absolutely 100% down. Any time of day, any time of night. Even
And 10th man, you're gay, but I think you've had some
As a
wild years.
51% gay man, don't mean to interrupt, but I eat pussy like it's motherfucking groceries when I did eat pussy. And what you do is you do it till she calls you God. And I actually did have a lady tell me one time that my girlfriend was the luckiest woman in the world.
So the man who has a husband is more of a man than half the dudes that were on this panel. That's crazy.
And
Nah, bro, I told the other day. Hold, one sec. I told the other day that dudes who don't eat vagina are gay.
No,
All
I don't
right.
know about that.
I didn't want anybody to leave.
I'll push back on that.
Hold on just a second. People left. I was playing a little panel scramble with one question, and the guys who I ducked backstage ended up like, oh, sorry, see you later.
They had to bow out for better gay men. That's what it is. They had to bow out for better gay
But we
men.
we
They
still
need
have
more bowls of
AJ.
clitoris.
Listen, we still have AJ and we still have Mr. Marte backstage, and Paige has been silent and patient like a true young lady this whole time. I would like to
Hey,
give the
Paige.
floor over
Hello.
to her, please.
Do you eat pussy?
Oh, absolutely not. I am a straight woman, and I do not want men to take a taco buffet of my own. So
Really?
rare,
It's not
weird
going to work
thing.
out with this page.
Really?
I was
Yeah, I've literally had to
actually-
tell them like, please stop, please don't do
No,
that.
no, you're
No.
If you were my girlfriend, you would be having it happen. Trust me.
So not
Right.
everyone is
Too
going to
much.
enjoy.
Are we
I
ever
have
gonna
a
figure out what I have
theory.
to say about the topic?
I have a theory, real quick, Paige, that women who don't like it are not willing to be vulnerable, because you have to be incredibly vulnerable in that position to allow somebody to do those things to you. And in the physical position you're in and everything, it's a very big vulnerability. And that is a theory I have. But anyways, the floor is open to you.
I think she had somebody be too rough with the man in the
Probably
boat.
the dude beating
All
the
right,
shit out of you.
Paige, shut up. Everybody shut up.
Okay. Let's leave this to the psychiatrist I do not have. All right. What is
Yeah, you got 9 of us now.
I'm free anytime.
Congratulations.
I mean,
Oh Lord.
there's definitely a lot of
But give-
factors
shut
that play
up.
into people's
Page the
preferences.
floor.
I'm sorry. I thought it was done. I'm sorry.
I'd like to go like at least 3 shades down from bright magenta, guys. Okay, all right. What is my position on the topic? Absolutely. I think nowadays, especially with the popularization of porn and OnlyFans, and also the I am the table movement that
Oh,
you
gosh.
see in a lot of women, that women are the prize and so on and so forth, and the sprinkle TikToks that were highly popularized about a couple years ago. Yeah, I think it's highly discouraging. I actually have the unique position of being really close with my brother and my dad. My brother is a Gen Zer, and my father is a boomer. And both of them are, or well, my brother recently got with a girlfriend, yay, brother. But both of them were single for quite some time. And my father's position on it and my brother's position, although they're from different generations, was oddly similar. My brother told me, he said, Paige, there's a lot of women out there that they're online notoriously, or they're anti-committal, or they're obsessed in kind of like the love and leave culture, or worse, they're on OnlyFans. And I don't see the value in hitching my wagon to that type of woman. And my dad told me, Paige, I'm now at a position where I'm retired. I have money. I have resources. I have my own independent life. And I really don't see the value in bringing a modern woman into that. I don't think she's going to do anything but nag me. So, weirdly similar positions.
Prenup.
Hold on. Are you going to ask my question from chat, or shall I?
What question?
Have you ever orgasmed from a man giving you oral? Yes or no?
Wow, that is extremely. that is a.
That's a
no. I don't let men do that to me.
There we go.
No man has ever given me.
We are not
boundaries.
psychoanalyzing
They've
Paige's sex
tried.
life.
This is.
All right. What about you, Sarah?
Is that like a weird question for all of us?
This is very intimate.
No, but see, we have these panels, right? But nobody wants to talk about reality. We just want to spout YouTube talking points. But you guys go ahead, talk amongst yourselves.
Well, no, it
We
was
don't have to
it's
get,
a
like,
it's a
not
two-way
everyone's
petting
comfortable
zoo,
talking about
right?
their own shit.
The
right?
guy's got the
But in any
questions.
case, I was gonna say that like there's definitely a lot of different reasons, a lot of different factors that people might come to their preferences. But at the end of the day, everyone does have preferences, right? So like, I
Blah
was gonna
blah
push back
blah blah
earlier
blah blah blah.
Hey, chill.
Hold
I was
on,
gonna push
tenth
back earlier
man.
when they said that, like, oh, if you're like guys who don't eat pussy are gay. Like, I mean, I like eating pussy, but like for guys who don't like eating pussy, like I don't think they should feel obligated to do it. And just like that, I don't think girls who don't like sucking dick should feel obligated to suck dick. Like, you can find someone who's not super into blowjobs who you can date and will be more sexually compatible with. Like, I think that that's a good thing about our society, that we have access to a lot of different kinds of people. You know.
Yeah, and
I just gave you my entire dating vetting process with one question.
So, Paige, let me say this. So I was
No shit.
married for a very long time, and the woman I was with refused to give me head, but I love to do it to her, right? But then after like 8 years of being with her, she started finally coming around and whatever. Like so you may find that in the long term scheme of things, if you're with a guy and become comfortable with him, that you might actually learn to love, getting some Furburger munched on.
This is why I wasn't going to ask Paige this question. Did anyone else notice that I purposefully skipped over her?
We can talk about how I like blowjobs if that'd be a more comfortable topic.
I will be concise. I was with a man for 10 years. I did not like it. There was no comfortability. I do not enjoy it. That said, I am not against the reverse of that. With the right man, that will be my husband, and that is all.
There, gentlemen, now leave it at that.
I also like blowjobs. Receiving them.
I have 2 banana washers that charge with USB.
Oh, goodness.
What?
Oh, goodness. I don't
What's your
even
number?
know.
I have 2 banana washers that charge with USB, and they have 17 settings.
All
One's
right,
charging
just
on my
a
desk right now.
kind Reminder:
I don't
AJ
even know
still
what the
hanging
hell
out
that is.
backstage.
I
and
don't
Marte
either. I'm
is
scared to
hanging
Google
out
it. You
back. I don't
Google
want
it.
to know. You know what?
No.
Just for
Cleaner.
purposes of
Rock,
being
paper, scissors.
stupid. All right, chat. Who do we want to come back
Watch
up?
this.
Is it
I win.
If it's
All right, I'll Google it.
if you want AJ, put a 1 in the chat. If you want Mr. Marte, put a 2 in the chat. I will leave it to you because I made an executive decision to boot 10th man for talking about banana washers and going totally off board. Anson, okay, I heard you.
Okay.
Just one's fine.
Wait a minute, Sarah.
0.
0.
How are we
Animal.
we're gonna say that? It sounded like you. I mean, I don't know those specific names, but it sounds like he's talking about sex toys, right? Like, is
Yes.
it we can have a whole panel about
It
eating
looks
pussy,
like
but
it's
if we
like
talk about
a
toys-
This is
fleshlight
what
sort of thing.
This is what 10th man does. He gets off in this weird sex toy.
Now my Amazon search recommendations
What's
are gonna
so
be
weird about
weird.
It's his
like,
exit
I mean,
strategy.
That's why I
in the
didn't
world
do
of
that.
Hotel Room,
It's totally off topic from the conversation.
It's
It's not.
oral sex is not off topic or from sex toys. Like, these are very.
What
these
I'm
things can go
saying
well
is,
together
I don't want
fantastically.
to continue going down that rabbit hole of
Going
crazy.
down. Look at all the fucking Freudian flips.
Dude,
They're great.
Freud was right.
Why
Freud had
don't you want to continue going down that? Does your jaw
I would
hurt?
love to continue going down, but not
Are you
down
done
that
yet?
route.
My jaw
Hyper-focused.
hurts. Now you
It's
got to
the
start
first-
over.
Guys, it's the first panel that I came, albeit camera off, okay, since my hiatus from an Andrew hater threatening to dox me, and we're going to talk about this. Like, all right, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm kind of curious
Yeah, these are
if
some rough topics.
Have you seen any good kitten videos lately? Puppies?
I'm kind of curious
You
if
like
Paige has
Brian-
the same outlook
Brian
that
has-
Sarah does on what I was saying about men.
can you reiterate it briefly?
Yeah, I think that men need to step it up and make themselves more valuable so that they'll be more attractive to women in general.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's our responsibility to do that.
So I have a pretty traditional view on things, but I don't think it's one-sided. So absolutely, I think men should be protectors and providers and be willing to, support a woman if that woman is going to abide by a traditional role. What do I mean by that? Well, she's going to give him a clean home. She's going to have dinner ready when he wants it. If he wants kids, she's going to provide those kids for him. And hopefully she's intelligent enough she can homeschool them because Lord knows what's happening in the education system nowadays. And I think there needs to be an equal give and take. Now, I'm not saying that's every relationship, right? There might be a relationship wherein the guy still assumes that role, but the woman might work a bit. This is more common in older relationships where the woman's in her 30s. And that's also perfectly fine. But I think there still should be an element of being a traditional woman. Like, even when I was in my 10-year relationship and I worked and he worked, I still had dinner ready for him when he got home. I still did the laundry, I still did the dishes, all that stuff. So I think there's ideal situations, and I think we should try and get close to that. It's not the best, but that is the ideal, in my opinion. Strictly my opinion.
Do you think that men are leading women to want to be in traditional positions?
Well, so men naturally lead women everywhere, right? Like the right man. Obviously, there's men out there that women aren't going to respect, right? Like everybody knows what I'm talking about here, like the simps that are now engaged to Bonnie Blue, and so on and so forth, right? But for a good man, a man that is somebody that, I guess, avoiding any Freudian aspects here, a woman would compare to her father, right? If her father was somebody that she would admire, yeah, I think that the woman should be led by that man towards a common goal. Like biblically, women, again, I'm not going to do a huge Bible study or anything, but women are a man's helpmate. That's what the Bible teaches us. So there are strong women out there, certainly, that aren't fitting into that archetype where they are the breadwinner. But I think in a normal, most common relationship, yeah, the man leads. I don't think there's
But
anything
I'm
wrong with
saying in today's society, do you think men as a whole are leading women to
No.
Okay. So
No.
because I
I
would
would
say
actually
women
say,
I would say that women are very reflective of men. And I mean
100%.
that by okay, so we
Right.
agree there. So because of that, do you think women have just magically created this whole new environment for themselves, or do you think we're reflecting based off of how our interactions with men, even in today's society, even growing up as children, do you think our actions are more reflection of how men are leading us, or do you think that women have just gone astray?
I think it's a combination of things. I think it is in general, yeah, we are a product of our environment. But I think to just base that on what men are doing would be kind of naive. I think fourth wave feminism, and in particular the propaganda that has infiltrated our lives from a very young age, from the very menial things such as Barbie dolls to Disney movies, has educated women that we can be boss babes and we don't need no man. Right. So that in combination with the fact that men are becoming more feminized by virtue of the same propaganda is leading to kind of a perfect combination here.
I don't really think men are becoming more feminized. I feel like they're
being
just
able to be boss
leaving.
babes thing. Isn't that just true? Like women can be boss. They don't actually need men, and like as much as they, or in the same way they used to, right? Like women can get jobs and they can do so. Like that's not really. Is it propaganda to acknowledge that women have these rights and like
Are they
feel
happy?
emboldened in doing these things?
Is it productive
Yeah,
for the
it is.
society?
Exactly why we were having this
Yes, I think so.
conversation.
So
tonight.
just a second. So where it becomes propaganda is where we outwardly, like through social media and other avenues, kind of demonize women who do take that traditional role. And we see that commonly. We also see a lot of women online who do have kids being very expressive. And when I say very expressive, I mean in a negative way about the woes of motherhood. And it's not productive. It's anti-natalist. Most of the time, it discourages women from adopting a traditional role. It says basically like, yeah, you could, but it's discouraged because why can't you be out there living your full potential in STEM, right? That's it's ironic because the origination of feminism, and I'm not an expert like Rachel Wilson is or somebody else, that's actually studied.
She's a liar,
That's
but-
actually studied or wrote a book on
No, she
this. But
slays.
the original intention of feminism was to allow women to do what they want to do, be a scientist or a doctor or be a homemaker. And now what it seems to have evolved into is you have to be a boss babe, and anything else, even if you're pregnant, even if you've had 3 kids, you're still expected to do that. And if you're not doing that, you're a failure as a woman.
Paige,
And
isn't that where the spiritual comes in? Because you have this concept of there was a enhanced aspect of talent for each traditional role, right? And now we have a confusion in this, which is why we're having this conversation tonight.
Yeah.
Right? The communication.
me-
Go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
Sorry, let me read a few of these, and then I want to get back to AJ and Paige. Daniel McCoy, I apologize. I should have read this sooner. I missed it for a second. Says if it smells like fish, it's a dish. If it smells like cologne, leave it alone. That's actually funny. K2 keep on trucking in with a big five says, I want no one to ever tell me that I'm not a gentleman. A fellow coworker lady was having trouble with her landing gears, and I helped needed muscle.
Close enough.
Okay. Close enough. And sarcastic saint in with the big five. Those toys are the only things Ryan uses on himself, and they don't talk back. Ryan, put a plug in your mouth like a pacifier and be quiet. Take 5, Ryan.
Common cope.
Okay.
Common cope.
Wow.
So can I say one thing before?
Yeah.
Just said it.
Yep, bye.
Well, I guess I did. Yeah, all right, I lost it. All right, I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Fair enough. And then I've got Mr. Marte coming back up, and then behind him I have animated effigy, and then Jeff waiting in line next, and then we'll bring it back round to 10th man, and then Ryan, and then KDK in, I believe, on Flo's side in with 24. Let's go.
And we'll go.
And if you are watching over on Kings and Dreams, I'm going to go ahead and remove that for now, just because I don't want to be responsible for a channel that's just running off of here.
Can I engage with the prompt?
I wanted to give it back to Paige and AJ, and then as they finish up their little dialogue, then you guys can dig right back in.
Thank you, Sarah. I'll be quick, and I know I never am. Do you think
It's not what your wife says.
fuck up? Do you think the traditional gender roles are being confused to a point where women and men are trying to replace those roles, and this is why we're having these arguments today, including with the internet influence how we communicate with each other?
Are the lines getting blurred? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, 100%. Because the issue is that, like I said, like this kind of like feminist culture is kind of driving home this thought theory that like men can be women and women can be men, and we can both fulfill a role that the other traditionally holds, which actually defies gender roles. And now I don't want to get much more into this because this is going to spark a huge amount of backlash in the comment section. And look, I'm not, upset to deal with that. I actually had a TikTok panel the other night on this. But we do know there are certain biological aspects of men and women that do make them inherently better at certain things. For instance, women we know are more socially intelligent. We have a higher emotional capability, right? Men are better problem solvers. They focus on a solution as opposed to hearing the long drawn out story and then inventing several avenues by which we might possibly explore a resolution. Right? And this is what makes us better at those traditional gender roles. Men as protector, provider, solution maker, and women as caregiver, support system, empathetic ear when needed. So yeah, I think that society is trying to make us androgynous. I don't like it. I won't stand for it. I am a woman. I was born a woman. I am a proud woman. And at some point, I would like to be a wife and mother. And that is all.
I mean, don't you guys think that
blame AI.
boys are like...
She
men are
actually
way more
touched on a really
flexible?
important thing, though, that a lot of people have glazed
Was it
over.
me?
The whole thing about traditional gender roles, there's a reason that we have this understanding of traditional gender roles, because when you go against your nature, it creates mental overload inside your subconscious. It restricts what you can consciously do. It does limit your abilities. So when women who aren't necessarily in that mental space of being a worker or a boss babe or whatnot are doing that, they're lessening their overall capabilities because they're fighting what their nature is. Some women don't have that same nature. I'm not saying all do, right? But the ones that are meant to be mothers, wives, caretakers, that sort of thing, if they're going against that and being pushed out into the world as a boss babe by feminists, they're actually going against their nature, and it creates a conflict in their brain that makes them be able to do less than what they could if they maximize their potential being a good wife or mother. And the opposite is true too.
Well, I think there are physical markers for this too. I'm writing a book called The Female Warrior Fallacy that'll probably be out in the next 6 months. Rachel Wilson's writing the forward, actually, believe it or not. So
Are
a
there
lot of
pictures?
studies that I've done. Was that?
Will there be pictures?
Fucking army guys.
So
You
what
should
I'm
add
saying is that
pictures. It'd be great.
there are a lot of markers in this. So when women are put into combat zones, you've noticed that the issues of having ovarian cysts rise up like insurmountably. Also, hair falls out at a faster rate, and infertility rises up to 38%, even in non-veterans that leave or veterans that leave long after this. So they have an infertility problem. They also have other markers too, with cysts, hair falling out, blood pressure is another thing too. Lifespan decreases and drops too. So when we see this, Paige is actually right about this. So what we have as the feminist movement is a transformer movement. This is really what this is. We are changing and mapping something onto the ontology of women and transitioning them into the opposite sex. So she's definitely right about that.
AJ looks hard as fuck right now. I just want to point that out.
Let me do a quick grift break. Tara Jackson in over on Flow State side with the big five says, know your role and stay in your lane. Who's she talking to? That was right after
I think she's
AJ.
talking to all the men who don't eat box.
That's fair. And little kissy cat over on Flo's side as well says, win, Dusty. That was with your little one-liner back to AJ. And then just a kind reminder, I've got animated effigy and Jeff hanging out backstage waiting to come up. You gotta you chat, you know what to do. And then 10th Man and Ryan Radical Coder also pending. So if you want them up, you gotta transition with the donos. All right. Well, can I ask though, is there, because I feel like expecting a woman to go into a traditional role, right, and lean solely on her husband, you know, to be the sole provider for the family, so on and so forth, that's a very big trust fall, especially nowadays, because obviously divorce is very easy. And not only that, with the economy where it stands, I feel like you do need a dual household in order to maintain and establish and all those things, or at least to be able to provide what you believe to be the best for your child. So in order to expect that trust fall, I feel like there's some kind of maybe it's propaganda oriented or maybe it's just reality. Women don't trust men to not only provide but to stay there, be there, you know, either through their own experiences or whatever the case may be. So it's kind of like their safety net, like a safety net for them to say, well, I'll go get my job, you know, get my career, get that boosted, so that I could at least land on my own 2 feet if my husband is not able to or ends up, you know, failing or whatever, or leaving me or whatever the case may be. So I wonder if maybe it's because the trust fall isn't trusting at all.
Yeah, I mean, half of our conversation is like casual sex, right? Like, like how, like, we're talking a lot about how there are men that are too weak or too, what is it, like simping? But I think on the other hand, I think there's just been an explosion of fuckboys, especially, and social media exacerbates that. So like, what are we going to talk about that? Because I feel like we haven't really been talking about that.
Well, I mean, that question that Sarah asked really speaks to two sides of this. So when women show that they trust the guy they're with, typically, not always, but typically, the guy feels more loyalty from the woman. He understands she's engendering trust in him. So he rises a little more to the occasion. It doesn't always happen, but generally speaking, when a man knows someone depends on him and trusts him to do the right thing, he will feel like he has to gain responsibility, or I'm sorry, he takes on the responsibility and move up.
Well, it's a chicken or egg thing, or it's like a bootstrapping.
It is. You're right. It is, and that's why I said it's two-sided, right? So the man also has to show he's worth that too, though, to get that trust engendered in him from the woman. So it like you have to have both sides. Women have to be ready to trust a man Men have to be ready to do what it is they're supposed to do. And the best thing that a man can do is show they're going to do that before the woman even approaches him, before he even approaches
There's another side to this that nobody's talking about. Trust that goes both ways. Are you not going to use me as a walking wallet? Are you going to delete my babies? Like, there's a lot of other issues with this too. We're talking about this as like it may be one-sided, and of course, Paige offered like an opposing point of view. That's what I'm doing right now. Are you going to have at least a decent looking house when I come back? Are you going to like help out on your traditional side of the roles? That's the problem, is that men are becoming walking ATM machines where you're having foodie dates that are happening now. There was a woman that went ahead and fed herself for a whole year. I don't know if it's true or not, off of just dates. So that's another problem too. I think trust is both ways.
So who cares about that
like,
shit? So what if there's a one-off and a
personally
chick
have an issue with this?
wastes her time going on dates with dudes?
Yeah,
so that
I'm
she can
talking
get
about a bigger picture than just that.
The general population, not the
yeah,
exception.
That's
I'm
not a
thinking
concern
more-
that's
I'm-
really worth attending
yeah.
to.
So I think you could make the argument this way, Marte, instead. I think you could say if women don't need to depend on men, then they don't have the need to rise up. And I think Cleaner was kind of speaking to that to a degree. So for instance, if I can make my own money, I can buy my own house, I can buy my own car, then why would a man feel the need to do that for me? Right? Therefore, if he doesn't need to rise to the occasion, then why would he rise to the occasion?
Right.
So that
Ego.
would make a better argument, Marte,
Yeah.
instead of you're going down like the men hate women route, and it's really like a disgusting display of
Where's your ego? Where's your swagger?
that doesn't help the conversation. That actually divides it further. Like women just want to use men for their wallet. We've heard that talking point
Well,
already.
there's
It's not productive.
Can I talk about this just briefly? Because this comes up a lot, especially in my sphere where I like promote traditional relationships and what have you. And I think what Marte was touching on, although like Sarah said, it does go down like the worst case scenario kind of aspect is completely valid. I think it goes both ways. So what this really kind of gets at is the importance, the essential, like this is one of the most important decisions of your life that you're ever going to make, is who you entrust your marriage with, right? Because ultimately, even with a prenup, sometimes a woman can take advantage of a man and a man can take advantage of a woman. And I think the important thing is to choose right the first time. Ideally, if you are a religious person, have that in the eyes of God, do marriage counseling, right? Figure out whether or not this is or is not going to be sustainable so you avoid these types of things. Because the unfortunate truth is that the legal system is unfairly biased and that there is incentives. Okay, well, here it is. Unfairly
Are
biased.
you in the U.S.?
No, I'm in Canada.
Okay.
But I know people in the U.S. that still state that there are.
I know every
state
dude who
incentives.
loses his custody says that the courts are biased. He doesn't want to say he's a loser, or the courts thought the mom was
Yeah.
better, or that he didn't try.
We actually rambled through that study page, and actually, if you read a little further in, it actually shows that that high percentage of men who didn't get custody or whatever, or like they might get every other weekend, those are the same men who don't show up to court. They don't file counterclaims. They don't they don't do anything to obtain that. But men who do show up actually get the 50-50, or they get full custody. They actually get what they're looking for. So it's not a problem of a bias. It's a problem of men not showing up and then just playing the victim card later. Well, she took the kids. Well, you didn't show up.
That's completely fair.
Showed up. I got mine.
I got mine twice. I won both custody battles.
My mom lost, but to be fair, it was 1990s, so that was like the
Well, Paige, the pendulum swung. So, like for men now, the credibility and the ball is in their court per se.
The courts start. Sorry, AJ. The courts start at a default 50-50. And you have to prove why there is no. You have to prove the 49-51. You have to prove the 30 to the 70.
Every state's
prove that
every state's different.
But they're the majority. Actually,
Not in the U.S.
Yeah, I spent a year's salary trying to get custody of my kid, and I didn't do it. All right, y'all.
In the U.S., it'd be a violation of discrimination.
No,
So-
he's right. It is dependent on the state. There are some states that are horrible, and there
Which
are some
one?
that I can
okay,
tell you
so
right now, Louisiana's really bad.
All right, show me the Louisiana law that says that anything besides it starts off 50-50.
Yeah, so Alabama changed their law in 2019 to 50-50, and when I went through it in 2011, it wasn't the way it is now, right? So this is
It'd
a
be a
very
constitutional
modern change in
violation
Alabama.
for it to be anything else.
The problem with that
I would
Jesse,
just,
is
I
that's
would
an
just like to say, as someone who actually
unqualified
went through the
Right.
the
I think you
process
guys
in
respect-
Louisiana, it is pretty bad, and my
Respect-
lawyer even
Yeah.
suggested that I not go down the road because I would get my ass owned.
Most courts would
Respectfully, I think a lot of people-
incentivize you. Shut up, AJ. Most courts would incentivize you to try to settle outside of court because the last thing a judge wants to do is to dictate, because that's what they have to do at the end of it. They have to dictate who gets what and who gets to do this or who gets to do that. They don't want to tell you what to do with your family. They want you to try to settle outside of court. So this is where egos come into play, where people have too big of egos and they get all wrapped up in the, well, no, he can't have this or she can't have that and blah, blah, blah. And this is where I always try to tell people it's the best interest of the child. If you put that first and your ego last, you will actually come to a conclusion and realize, maybe I should, go with a 50-50 route or so on and so forth. And child support is determined based on a calculation. Nobody's taking you for your money. It's all literally calculated by the state. She's not
But my
buying a
alimony.
Gucci. Yeah, and alimony is just a supplemental for if you got a divorce recent or getting a divorce, and she has been a stay-at-home mom for the last 10 years and not out there working her resume. Alimony is meant to be supplemental until she can catch back up to where she belongs.
Or until he can. Men can get it too.
Until he can. You can apply for it too, but it's not meant to be something that's a lifetime. I think California is different and it's fucking weird. Y'all are weird. You did that to yourselves with your liberal stupidity. But outside of that, alimony is only meant to be supplemental to help let somebody get back on their feet and get back into a job. Finkel with the Big 20 says, women's good for sandwiches, IKEA assembly, and that's it. Yes, that's all women's are good for. And Marte says, doing my part in being a provider. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yes, there's like 99% men watching this show, and I am one young lady. Be a good provider, won't you? All right, back to the panel. Go ahead, AJ.
When did women start doing IKEA assemblies?
Really quick before I lose my thought, Sarah, I think you have to realize that like there's a concept there where if you have alimony in a state, right? Of course, there's political bias, but California's in the top 10 of the economies of the world. So like all this money there, which is what creates this legislation.
Is California broke?
No. I'm saying it's one of the top 10 economies in the world. So most men and women there are richer than every other American by far, according to statistics. So alimony is very prevalent. Prenuptials, if you ask most divorce attorneys, prenuptials are like very statistically common. In fact, it's like normalized in our culture today if you're wealthy beyond the middle class stature that we are all familiar with. But I guess the point I was just trying to make, I think somebody's kicking me off. Fuck it. The point I was trying to make is
go sprint for the inline.
I'm done. Is that we're at a point where the credibility in court is so much more important because the pendulum has swung. So much time was spent on listening to men because they were the head of the household, but then cops were getting sued, the department was getting sued, and now the pendulum has swung. So there is female bias in liberal states. However, if a man can show up to court and prove he is a providing parent that is responsible and fiscal, he will get just as much authority in the court of law.
I agree. All right,
doesn't
enjoy your
happen
time
all
in the back, AJ. And then we have Jeff coming on.
Definitely
All
depends on
right.
your resources, though. Like,
and Kissy Cat says the Big Ted says, yeah, men support the women's. I love Kissy Cat.
I want to respond to Jay in chat. Jay is crying, whatever his name is. Any of you, actually, this is to everybody. Any of you dudes who are dead ass set on courts are biased against men. If you're an American, I can't speak for Canadians. If you're an American, it's because you're a bitch and you're a victim.
That's not true.
Yeah,
That
it
is
is.
absolutely not
Yeah,
true.
it's absolutely
I've
true.
spent a lot of
The
time
only
and
reason
resources.
people would be so
No,
set
that is
on
not
being
true.
victims in court who have not been there, especially, is
I've been
because
there.
they want to be the victim. They like being the victim. They're pouty faced.
No,
there are unfair cases.
Well, what if they are a victim?
There are individual
Get a good
unfair
lawyer.
cases. If you've never been to court and you're positive that courts favor women,
that's different.
because you want to engage in victim culture.
Yeah, that's different. I
Okay,
wouldn't
let me
necessarily
ask.
Wait, isn't that proven out?
Anson, was there something that she was holding against you, like that was preventing you from having custody of your children?
So the first time, no. So what happens is, if you can't demonstrate to the court that you'll be able to agree on who is the custodial parent, like if there's too much animosity, right, the court will pick one person to be the parent, right? So if the woman is unhinged and the guy responds with the same level of being unhinged, what?
She filed first.
Yeah, they both filed first. Yeah.
What? No, you can't have both file first. One party.
Well,
files
both
first.
my exes.
He's saying.
Okay, so yeah, that's why it was defaulted to her. Filing first is a big deal. You being a man is not a factor.
Well, see, now I ran that by a couple of attorneys, and they both said that that's full of crap, right? The biggest determinator is which judge you get, because it's a judge lottery, and the judges are all biased in different ways, right? No matter what the law is, they can write their opinion based on whatever the hell they want.
So what did they have?
Can anyone hear me?
Hold on just a sec. What did she have, or both of them? I feel like if there's a 2 for 2 on this one, it might be a you problem, not a them problem. And then can we trade Ivory for 10th for just a few minutes? Yes, Ivory to the back, and I'll give you about 5 minutes. I want to know.
Can you guys hear me? Sorry, Sarah. Sorry.
Hey,
Yeah,
everybody.
we can hear you. Hold on. I want to ask a question. Like, what was the
Hi,
holding
tomato.
factor? What was the holding factor that the judge reasoned as to why it was why the moms got custody and not you?
The opinion of the judge was that he just thought it was in the best interest of the child that the child be with the mother. There was no like, I wasn't abusive. I didn't have any of those kind of issues.
Hold on.
Right. So it was just like he had to make a decision, and he made his decision.
Did you live within the same community, like 10 minutes from each other? Did you get weekend visits, something?
Yeah, I exercised all that, right? Okay. And with the second one, I even stayed in the home all throughout the entirety of the divorce process, so that I wouldn't have that held against me, because that was held against me the first time. Because in the first divorce, I moved out of the house because I thought that's what you're supposed to do when you get separated before a divorce. And I learned later that that's actually bad. You're supposed to stay in the house with the kids so that you can show that you're just as equal a parent as the other one, right? So that was one of the things that was held against me, right?
Jesus.
But in terms of like silver bullets against me, there was nothing that was on me that I didn't also have on my exes, right? So we were both evenly yoked. It was just a matter of the judge thought that we couldn't co-parent, and so we couldn't do 50-50 custody, so he decided to give her the custody.
So it sounds like you guys were probably throwing everything at each other, like, well, he said this to me one time and she said this to me. See, and judges don't give a fuck about any of that, and when you overwhelm them with all of that shit, they're just like, you know what, fuck it, I'll just make whatever decision I want. They don't want any of all that emotional crap. They want, are you a good parent? Can you parent? Can you get them to practice? Can you get them to school? Can you do homework? And if you, to me, or at least in my worthy opinion, if you walk into the court and say, you know, Your Honor, we're both great parents. We both love the child. Let's do what's best for the child and make this as amicable as possible.
Yeah.
That actually shows better faith than, well, she yelled at me one time and she made threats in a text and he did this and he told me that, because
how do you defend against it though? Like if she's unhinged and saying all kinds of crazy crap, you gotta respond to it, right? You have to say, look, this is not true. She's actually the one that's like this, right? So it's a catch-22, right? If you defend yourself, you're screwed as a guy.
Well, she has to be able to prove that you are such a way, right?
Oh, you ain't got to prove crap. All you can get up there and say whatever the hell you want. That's
accusations are thrown out. Get out of here. Accusations are not just taken at face value in court.
You're getting the short end of the stick.
your lawyer would have to come in and further prompt her because I'm assuming you turned it into a whole a hearing, right? So
Oh yeah, it was a 2-day hearing.
yeah. So, and the fact that you wasted the judge's time on she said this, he said that, blah blah blah. He's a piece of shit. she's
Wasted
a
the
piece of
judge's time
shit.
trying to get rights to my kid. No, I didn't waste the judge's time. I did what
No,
I had
what
to
I'm
do.
saying is you're wasting your time on the wrong efforts, right? So yeah, she can come up and spit and say you're this terrible person and yada yada yada. And like my tactic would be, is he
They
a terrible?
expect that.
Is
They
he
expect
still?
that.
Yeah, like are you a good parent? Are you a parent? Can you be a good father? If not, like, because obviously if you were such a shitty parent, right? That's how I would look at it. If I'm such a shitty parent, why wasn't CPS called on me? Why weren't the cops ever called? Why weren't all these things done? Right? That would be the position I would take to say if he's such
Yeah.
a bad dad, why did you
Right.
trust your children with them from the get-go?
Right.
Right.
And there
So
was never any of that. There was never any CPS. There were never any police. There wasn't any of that, right? The judges had to make a decision, and they were one of the judges that just decided that women are the better parent, right? It wasn't any more complicated than that.
He decided that your ex was the better parent.
Right.
Please.
So why are
Can
you
I ask
trying
a
to
question?
Go ahead.
go ahead, Tim.
No, you go first.
No, we're all done.
I'm
Go
just
ahead.
beating a dead horse.
All right. Yeah. Hey, bro. My name's 10th Man. I get kicked off a lot. Can I ask you just 2 questions real quick? So, 3. What state did you live in, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to answer questions.
Yeah, I don't mind answering questions.
Okay, just 3 quick questions.
Yeah. I'll give you one. I'm in Alabama.
Okay. Second, and then I'll go because I got kicked. But but I got paid to ask this. So, second question is, why did you stay in a state that had those type of laws and have children there?
You mean why did I stay in the state that my family's lived in for like 7 generations?
No. I'm just asking, why did you have children in that state if that was the laws there?
Because this is my home.
Yeah, I don't even think that's
Okay.
that's the reason.
And last question, and then you can kick me. Last question is, how do you expect anybody to have sympathy for you when you don't understand life, and then you come onto a live internet panel and then cry about your decisions?
I don't want sympathy. I'm not crying. I'm explaining what happened.
No, you're dumb. And that's why people come on the internet and they spout YouTube talking points, waste everybody's time with nonsense like I've listened to this entire time. Sarah is a saint. A saint. I would obliterate all of you people if I had unlimited time.
Don't you have a banana?
Obliterate.
Go find your banana cleaner.
And go find the banana washers. And I believe it was Ivory Fool that was traded out. And Paige, did you want to make your exit?
Oui. It is my time to go. I have an early appointment tomorrow, and I do have 2 more things that I want to do with the Crucible Discord before I go to bed. So I will bid you adieu. Bonne nuit.
Bless
and
you.
thank you for having me on. I look forward to more panels once I ascertain that the crazy psychopath is not after my ass on the internet.
Which one?
I would just say fuck them and just do what you do. That's what they want, is to scare you away.
I didn't have a 9 to 5, and this was entirely my career, perhaps, but I do need to be cautious. Anyways, I appreciate you all. Have a lovely evening, and God bless.
Bye, Paige.
Stay safe.
And then Ryan was waiting so patiently back there. Thank you for your patience.
Hey, can I ask
Ryan.
my thing? This thing's kind of hot to wear. Can
Why are
I
you
get this
wearing
off my
it?
chest? It's
Yeah.
a motorcycle helmet. This is my only, the comms. This is my only headset. But so like, I wanted to ask or like talk about the whole cunnilingus decision or discussion you guys had and expectations for guys, and why is it that I'm expected to know where the clit is? Like, I've never had one. I don't know. Like, why would I know that? Why would I know like where that is?
The internet?
Well,
At all.
why don't you ask?
But they
It's
expect
in
me to
her
know. And then
butthole.
first of all,
Let me
dive
ask
into
you
that.
this.
Can
Let
I?
me ask you this. No, let me ask you. If I touch your PP and
yeah.
and
Please
it
don't.
it reacts a certain way, right? A very obvious way, and you
How
get
are you
all-
touching it?
I'm
stop
leaving.
it. And it reacts a certain way, in a way where I can obviously see that this is a good thing, right?
Right. Right. No, I find my way. You know, it's just it's like I'm expected to know where it is, and then like I'm supposed to take directions from a woman on how to find it. It's just the whole thing.
Punch it,
Oh god.
if I punch it,
Don't
you're
do that.
obviously going to react a certain way that I would be like, probably shouldn't do that anymore, right? So it's all about finding and exploring and watching how she reacts, my friend.
I know. And for the record, I know where it is.
Can you
by the
show
way.
us your technique?
I mean,
Can
if
I-
you
can
grabbed
I-
your
real
balls
quick,
and started
I'm
jerking
about
them
to
like
get
she does
kicked
your
again.
shaft, you would have a problem with that, right? Like you would be like, you're doing that wrong.
I'd accept
Indian
it.
burn twist.
You'd be like, hey,
I
this
wouldn't
is
say
new,
no.
but this is not the traditional method.
I think
Yeah,
someone
that wasn't my
Go
bit.
ahead,
I stole
Ryan.
that
Go
from
ahead,
somebody,
Ryan.
but I'm out of here.
All right,
All right,
fair
bye.
enough.
Later, guys.
I'm actually going to leave after I give this little closing. But first of all, to the cunnilingus discussion, I mean, I will say to the credit of Jeff and to my fellow homies out there, you know, like we need to expect a little bit more of these women. Like they should be communicating what they like and don't like during sex. And like so like you know like if you're going down on a woman and she's not enjoying like the spot that you're doing or like how fast you're doing or whatever, like homegirl should tell you. She should say, oh, higher, lower, faster, slower. Like these are things that are awesome to communicate. You're way more likely to have
That's so many
if
words
you don't
for
like
this.
communicating it, I'm just telling you that if
You can't pick it up. That's survival of the fittest telling you you shouldn't exist.
If you want the guy to learn and he's not figuring it out, then you should probably tell him. But anyway, that was not what my closing statement was. I'm going to say this after I'm going to read the donation.
Naomi with the big 5 says, Flo, I need ear gray.
I don't know what that is.
What is ear gray?
don't
Earl
know,
Grey?
but no
Earl Grey
sexual.
tea? Probably Earl Grey tea.
I don't know.
Sarcastic. Oh, I
Oh,
missed
damn it.
I apologize. Sarcastic Saint with the big 5 says, Chairman of
Oh,
the
dude, my
board needs
pants are
time in the
unbuttoned.
back. Oh, Jesus.
What is going on?
Teabag.
Fuck.
He's doing a
Teabag, bro.
Oh, okay. I see.
And Sarah was the only one to finger it.
Oh, goodness.
Animals.
Sarcastic Saint says, Chairman of the board needs time in the back for interrupting Dusty and sounding more like a whiny radical coder, more action instead of words. I apologize for missing that sooner, Sarcastic. I've got Osron in the back waiting to come up. And then, of course, we kicked 10th man. And then Ryan needs to stay in the back until he admits to lying about not being able to communicate with Andrew about his tooth fund.
Real quick, I guess since I have to speak to that one as well. I've told Andrew already the Discord that he messaged me on. I don't have access to that account anymore. I sent him a friend request in the other one. The ball is entirely in his court. If he's gonna give me the money, I will happily take it. Okay, I'm not trying to turn down money, but I mean $500 is also not gonna get a tooth implant in this economy. But anyway,
Okay.
so my closing statement. I'm gonna leave. You guys won't have to deal with me. No one has to donate anymore to kick me. The court system is
Why would
flawed,
you do
no
that?
doubt. But not just for men. It fails poor people, single moms, and anyone without the resources. We shouldn't be arguing, or we wouldn't be arguing about child support if we had strong systems that actually make sure kids get
We
taken
wouldn't
care
be
of.
arguing about child support if you didn't just tell people they didn't have to donate to a single mother. What the hell's wrong with you?
Same with
Mike,
dating apps.
yes, you had.
They can mess with your head, shallow habits, inflated expectations, but they also help people find real connection. In 2017, 40% of couples met online. The issue is not the tool, it's how we use it and whether we have the emotional intelligence and real-world community to back it up. Social media teaches us how to perform often instead of how to relate. And finally, while we argue over women are too picky or men are alpha enough, our democracy
I get
is
it. You
actively
wrote
being
something.
dismantled. Hey, shut the fuck up. Our democracy
Yeah,
is
he wrote
actively
something.
being dismantled. The Supreme Court ordered Trump to bring back Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a man who was legally living in the United States when he was deported. Trump said that he could do this, and then he said that he won't. That's not even just.
This has
quirky,
nothing to
he's
do with
defying-
anything.
He's
Well, yeah,
literally
where's
shut the
the
fuck up.
back
He's
from
literally defying
Cunnilingus to
constitutional.
Kilmar
Oh my
Abrego
God, I
Garcia.
hate Trump. Trump derangement syndrome.
Who gives a fuck about hating Trump? It's literally about the Constitution. I love the Constitution. In this
That
country.
has
So if you
nothing
wanna
to
talk
do
about
with the
Constitution,
topic.
or you want to talk about relationships.
This is your
whatever,
grandstanding.
We love talking about these things. So go check out my channel.
Your hair
where we
looks
can have
fabulous
full
today, but your
conversations.
talking points are dick.
I appreciate you, Dusty. I wish you let me finish my
It is
talking
on
point.
point.
But anyway, I'm
All
Radical
right,
Coder.
shut up,
It's been
everyone.
a pleasure. Have a good night, Sarah, and everyone else. It's great being here. I'll see y'all soon.
Hi, Ryan. Love you, dude. God
Hi,
bless.
Ryan.
Can we send Ryan to El Salvador and bring back that other dude?
Sarah, can I ask Vern the question about your whole show today in Hindi?
My Hindi is not so good. You'll have to talk to me in Kannada.
बे यार कनाडा नहीं आती है.
Oh, मेरा
Okay.
हिंदी थोड़ा खराब है.
English.
Shit.
Vern, do you think social
You're
media
gonna chase the audience away in like 5 seconds.
Hold on, guys.
Bob's and Vagine.
Vern, do you think, as somebody who lives in Asia, one of the most populated places in the world, do you think social media is destroying dating?
Yeah, definitely. Social media is a form of birth control, actually. Nature has weaponized lust and greed in human beings so that they don't procreate. There are already 8 billion people on the planet. Now, scientists have said that if everyone wants to live like the average person in North America or in Western Europe, we'll need 4 Earths. So, this is a means by which nature has corrupted mankind so that they don't procreate. How many people will be very rich, very handsome, or very beautiful? Everyone wants that, but how many people can get it? It's what nature is doing to mankind. This is just the beginning. Then there'll be epidemics, wars, famines, so that the population comes down. Actually, it's unsustainable to keep growing. Actually, if let's say there was no such thing as divorce or breakups in relationships, everyone had a family and a family of 4, they'll need electricity, water, food, that too more meat as well, and then they'll need all the other conveniences that the world can provide. How will it be possible to keep feeding growing mouths?
Daniel
But more
with a big
importantly, do
5
you eat
says,
pussy?
That would solve the hunger problem.
That's true.
That's true.
Daniel in with the big 5 says, I want my money back, Sarah. Ryan's not supposed to talk or give me a free one next stream. No, and here's why. Ryan was making his exit statement. And if somebody is getting booted and they're leaving for the evening, we always allow them the ability to make their exit statement. And as you witnessed, it was very interrupted and not very. He didn't have a whole lot of talking space there, so I veto your request. Who dropped? Did Flo drop?
I think so.
Got one guy.
All right. Well, now we'll just end the whole show. Flo left. I don't know what to do anymore.
Wow.
All right. All right. Back to
Stop
you guys.
it! Stop it! I'm even gonna stay here instead of going to the place where the havoc ensues, just for you because I love you.
Where does the havoc ensue?
I know Flo gets tired of hearing people whine, because he is a dad and he did win custody and all
I
of
understand.
that fun stuff. And so,
But Sarah,
and
I wasn't whining. I was explaining what happened.
do you know what we do over on Flows? I would like you to come over there a little bit more than you do, because see, what we do usually over there is we end the conversations that you guys have here a lot of times, right? And that's why I really appreciate you sending us people, right?
Yeah.
And they all come up. The people weren't able to get up because you're too full, right? Because you're super, super popular, right? And I actually appreciate you letting me on your show. We have had some pretty deep conversations over the years, right? Over the months.
Deep.
But I'll just say this, and I'll shut up, is I do most of my work in the chat, right? I have probably during the stream 300 tags, 10th man tags, right?
You're like
Maybe
a Reddit mod.
400. So no. I don't even have a mod in any of these channels. You understand that? Because I'm the guy who's already had these conversations 17,000 times. So I come up here and make a few jokes. Sarah makes a few bucks. Everybody's happy. On Flows is where I eviscerate people. Go ahead.
It's hard to follow
Well, I was gonna let you keep going.
Monologuing.
Yeah. Go ahead, 10th man.
are you
The
pretty
floor is
drunk?
yours. Tell everyone.
That's all I have to say.
All right. Well, you got
Shit.
10 minutes in the back.
What an idiot. Anyway.
I don't know. That was a pretty
Well,
great monologue.
Vern, let me ask you a question. Can you ask me if I want a Slurpee?
Oh my gosh.
You're such a dick. And we act like that's new every time. And Mr. Marte would like to make his exit statement. He had to send a super chat just to get a word in. Go ahead, Marte.
I wanted to go ahead and send a super chat because that's far more optimal than going ahead and sending a regular chat, right? It's been fun, guys. I always like bullshitting with you guys, but I have a debate tomorrow that I have to get ready for. So talk to you guys later, man.
Is that gonna be over on Fatty's? Did you guys set that up?
Yeah, I'm gonna rock this guy so bad tomorrow.
Oh, fun!
Yeah.
I'm glad
So-
that worked out for you.
Yeah, it worked out. Thanks for the alley-oop. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Is that what that's called? Alley oop?
Yeah, well, you threw the lob over to him and he picked it up, and now we're.
That's what it's called, an alley oop.
Well, it's a basketball reference for when you throw the ball to somebody on your team and they help you out by putting it in the net somehow.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's an alley-oop.
god, that's not called an assist.
They
It
call
is
it
an
an alley-oop
assist,
too.
but like, and so basically, an assist can be a dribble pass and you shoot it, but an alley oop is in the air. It's like you catch it in the air and put it in the basket. Mostly, and
I
It's
thought
more stylish.
Yeah, because Fatty wrote on there alley oop or whatever, and I thought it was just a like autocorrect or
You
he
can
made
say
it-
assist.
I
Matt
just
Gemini
well
told me
I
he
just
said,
I
yeah,
thought
it's a-
I thought he was trying to say something else like thanks for the something, but I figured I don't know, he just either fat fingered it or did it wrong or said the wrong, I don't know, because his language, his English language isn't always the best. So I thought it was just, I was like, I just presume he's just saying thanks for the handoff or whatever. But I
Yeah.
had no idea alley oop is an actual thing.
Sarah, shut your stinking face up. Let me tell you this here. No, hold on. Let me tell you. An assist is if one of these guys helps somebody get a 300-pound woman who's 5'7". And alley oop is, oh, you got Sarah? Like, yeah, it's more stylish. Like you landed somebody big. So you would be the alley oop, if that makes sense to you. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Facts.
No, I mean, I
Yes.
understand what it's referring to. I
Damn,
just-
the glaze.
When we
I
wrote
love
it
the
on-
glaze.
When we wrote it
Donuts.
on Twitter, I thought he just made an autocorrect error or something. But yeah, that's awesome. Well, good luck on your debate tomorrow. Everyone tune in. Team Fatty.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What time is it going off tomorrow?
5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to see this guy dismantled. So be great.
There you go. Awesome. Do you want to tell everyone your topic?
Is it
ahead.
harmful to call black women masculine? That's my topic. Yeah. So
It's
fired up.
it's gonna be a rough one. I could already see it. The chat
What
over
side of the
there is
debate are you
like
on?
to go.
Yeah.
What-
I agree.
yeah, what-
Matt Gemini, yeah, you're totally right about that. Yeah.
Sarah,
Yeah.
I need to go now. I have some work to do. I just wanted to be brief. So thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you, Osfron, and thank you, Marte. Good luck tomorrow.
All right, guys. Peace out.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's smooth. In America, they think that's a sexy voice. In his country, he's irritating. So it just shows you have to work your demographics. I'm listening.
And Sarcastic Saint says, oh wait, no, I missed one here. Inquisitive Archivist says with the big five, making fun of someone's race or religion is the lowest form of debating. I think that's fair. Sarcastic Saint says tech support is missing one of their employees or 7-Eleven is missing a manager. Keep the guy with the fake Indian accent and give Baldy chairman 5 minutes in the back. All right, Anson, you got 5 in the back. And Daniel McCoy in with the big 2. Fine, keep my money, but Ryan still lied. All right, let me set my timer here. Bad Gemini, what is your thoughts on the topic of the evening?
First off, I have to speak quickly because everybody's getting kicked off left and right. So, my favorite thoughts are the thoughts that you used to be when you used to be a thought, but now I think differently about you. So let me start there. So yes, bars on palm bars. Typhoid, I like that he's highly confident. Any guy that's gonna wear a shirt that looks like bad art means that he doesn't care about what other women say about him. So shout out to bad art. Cleaner, yeah. And we leave it there and we keep on moving. He looks like a dust ball on white tile. So I feel bad for him.
What
And
an
anybody
animal.
who has to clean them up and throw them in the trash.
Actual murder.
Look.
I thought you could only make fun of the Indian guy.
First off, I would never make fun of any guy. Not when we have Thelvery the Fool on here.
Ooh.
Like he looks like he looks like a white barn candle that's scented with Asian passive aggressive. I don't even know if they make those sense, but you know what? Something about you is quite off, but they keep making candles for you. So sniff it and white on to the wilderness. Look, real tomato, you're all right with me. I'm not gonna beef with you. Any guy that's gonna wear a nice little like rose salmon colored shirt, that means you're very affirmed in how you feel as a guy, and so you get a pass. So Sarah, you asked me how I feel about everything. I feel great about it, but the chairman of the board jumped on, and I hate that he had the shadows, but even the shadows couldn't hide his hairline. So something is just like not making sense to me about that when I see that. Get darker shadows. But back to what I was saying. So Sarah, the topic of tonight, when you're talking about incels and dating and apps. Look, I love incels. There's room for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to have incels. The reason you have to have incels is the guys who are elite, who can talk to a woman, who are confident, you have to have a distinction. Everybody can't be in the same category. So I don't look at incels as being a negative. I look at it as being a balance to this whole equation of dating. So you stay in your lane, incels. And those guys who depend on social media apps and can't talk to women in real life, we need you, because guys like me will always stand out. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, why does everybody want to have every guy in one category? That sucks for us as men. You need to have distinction. Incels need to have room, virgins, awkward guys, gamers, everybody. So I know my lane. So shout out to those guys, because I need them to fail at a high level. When they fail at a high level, I can win at a low level, because I'm still the best option when women have to choose. So that's how I look at it. So fail at a high level and I'll win at a low level. Thank you guys. Yeah, appreciate it.
That actually makes sense. Makes
That
it
was good,
easier for
Tyrone.
you.
I like
Mike
that he gave me the
Paul.
blackest name possible. Sorry. Go ahead.
Mike, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Bad Gemini? Confirm in the chat who you want me to boot, please. I'm assuming.
Hey, get her all this money.
I'm assuming you mean Bad Gemini.
Dang, they're always beating them. Go ahead, just
It's
boot the
only
brothers
5
off.
minutes. It's only 5 minutes.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I
All
hate
right. You
us
got
brothers.
5 minutes in the back. You'll be all right.
What was so bad with it? That was some good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I thought it
You're
made
wild for
sense.
that.
can I engage with the prompt now? Because I wanted to do that a while ago.
Sure, go ahead.
So apps and social media, they absolutely do create men who are involuntarily celibate because they don't learn the social skills. You don't even need to talk to a woman in order to get a woman. All you got to do is walk past her, look her up and down the right way, and if she's into you, you got her, right? It's not complicated. Men who get online and think it's about all that other stuff that's online and like creating these apps and getting the right photos and scrolling or whatever, like that's all. You don't even need any of that. You just got to use your eyeballs the right way on a woman and you'll get her. It ain't complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Well, yes and no. I mean, I think it's not too hard to get our attention. I think it's harder to keep our attention, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but the incel guys don't even learn how to get it. That's their problem. They're caught up on like their total lack of social skills because they think everything's online. When in reality, if like all the guys just turned off their computers all at the same time and went outside and started just like looking at the ladies, they'd have a lot more luck, right? Because they'd be actually around them in the wild instead of in this controlled environment where the women can only pick Bad Gemini because he's the Tyrone with the good looking face and the chiseled body, right? Because that's all the women see on the internet.
Yo, if women were picking Bad Gemini, he wouldn't fucking be here right now.
Oh, he's a good looking dude. What are you talking about? That dude's
He wouldn't be streaming right now.
Yeah, but
He'd be.
No, he's
well,
already.
It depends
I know
what time, but
he's already taken.
Yeah, but brother, that's kind of a shitty argument, right? I mean,
Well, not only that, you got to let him defend a personal attack like that when he's on screen. Bad Gemini looks like he just came back from a P. Diddy party with AJ as his side chick.
Who was
Bad
attacked?
Gemini, AJ loves when you go low on him. Baldy, 5 minutes. Which one's Baldy? Who's Baldy?
Yeah, which one?
Anson, you got your 5 in the back. And then Mike Ball comes back to say Anson stays. Okay, fair enough.
Flex, Mike.
All right. The chat has spoken.
I think Friday's an optimal time for adults to avoid getting arrested or paying hundreds of dollars for drinks and food they could cook at home.
You know, that's how I looked at it when I started the Saturday night sipping streams. It was because it was like one weekend I didn't have the kids. And I'm like, man, like I want to hang out with people, but I don't want to go out and spend money and, you know, be in loud music and all that stuff. And I started a sip and stream, and I even titled it like it's, you know, cheaper, like I forget how I put it, basically like it's cheaper to hang out here or something like that. And that's how Saturday Night Sip and Streams kind of like kicked off, was for that very reason. It's not like I didn't have anybody to hang with or do anything with. It's that I didn't want to. I like would rather just did the online thing and have some fun there. Hold on, we got some.
I feel that. That's epic.
Sounds like you were a smart woman.
Well,
Good.
I mean, I guess if you just kind of like, I don't know, I look at the net gain kind of concept, and to me, the net gain would be, you know, especially at that time, because this was what, like last summer, I like didn't have a whole lot of money to like spend, and I'm like, I spend $10 on an Uber ride.
Sarah, it's
spend
not
some money
even-
on the drink.
I'm sorry I wasn't around during that time to help you.
I didn't have all of my male providers in the chat. But
I just didn't know. I didn't know you needed help. Joe Cole sent me to Flo, and he said, "Hey, you should check these people out." And I said,
Sarah,
"You know what?
Sarah,
I'll
what do
come
you-
out of retirement for you guys."
Okay, 10th man, thank you. We all know you're special. Sarah, if you're a straight
AJ,
or gay, if you're a straight
how many AJ tags were there in chat today?
Hold on, 10th man, thank you. Sarah, if you're straight or gay, if you're
Let's
a
listen
straight,
to you.
oh Jesus, if you're a straight or gay female or male, the fact of the matter is, isn't the appeal just kind of overplayed after a while when you go to these areas, these places of commerce, and spend all this money and try to communicate with human beings? It's like, isn't this why the internet is so attractive? Hence the conversation today.
And
Why-
then we adopt all the kids that you straight dudes refuse to take care of, and then you call us a bunch of imbeciles for taking care of your kids.
Oh my god. I think I just look at it as net loss versus net gain. I could go and spend $30, go out for a night, have fun with my friends, whatever, or I can go online and stream and, you know, potentially make some money on a Saturday night instead of spending it. And I mean, obviously now it's turned into a whole thing, but you know, it's not, I'm old enough, right? I'm old enough that going out on a Saturday night is not necessarily as appealing as it was when I was, per se, 22, right? There is a whole different world. And, you know, quite honestly, it's just kind of, it is a little overwhelming and dealing with people and all that, but it just, I don't know. It's
like, Sarah, even drinks. You go buy a couple of double shots of not Wells liquor, like good quality liquor out of a well-branded bottle. You're paying $40 for that double shot, but you could pay that same for a bottle at home and, you know, have wings and pizza ordered, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it just starts to change as you get older.
I mean, especially when you pay a mortgage and it's like, I pay for this house. I'm gonna be in this fucking house. And our young friend Alexander sends the big 5 to say, haven't been able to super chat for 2 weeks. Any help? Wanted to wish happy birthday, but scuffed. Says error occurred every time. If might know. That didn't make sense. Okay, but Alexander sent in a bunch of money. Go ahead.
I want to get my glazing out the way. So, Sarah, And these guys are making valid points depending on the side of the argument they're coming from. But because they said I'm glazing, so sure, let's add extra sprinkles. I want to just let you know that your bangs are hitting. Like, whatever you did to correct the failure of the bangs you had 6 months ago, I'm glad that you got this money. You went to a freaking, hair doctor, and there's like, look, these bangs are killing your whole persona. So they're very shimmery, they're clean, they're trimmed nicely. You're even hiding your thick eyebrows well with that. So I love that, and the fact that you still look like a female Chucky doll means that, you like to be you show the female human side of you. We need to get down in the trenches with you. So if you had a striped shirt and a knife, that would be a perfect Halloween costume, female Chucky. And there goes the lip gloss. A long time you haven't worn it, because you know what? You needed the lip plumpers as well. You have very thin lips to be putting on lip gloss, but I'm glad that you have the plumper and the lip gloss. There's my glazing, fellas. Y'all heard the glazing, Front Street. I'm tired. I'm over her. Anyhow, so back to
you're
us guys
smart. Do
talk.
you eat vagina? Yes or no? Yes or no? That's the fucking
First off,
question.
let me tell you,
Have
I'm
we
gonna answer
switched
the
to
question.
gauntlet yet? I don't
I
remember
like
the
the
intro.
face
I'm sorry.
rodeo.
I'm sorry.
Look, I love the face rodeo. It's called 8 and 8. I need her to ride my face for about 8 minutes.
Yeah, but
and
do you make
I'm
sure
gonna
she
make it happen.
orgasms and trust
That's the
that
whole
she
point.
actually is
You don't
truthful with you?
understand.
Yes or no?
Listen to you. You don't understand what
You
I
ever
just
troll
said.
my sister, bro?
A
I will tear you down.
faced rodeo
Lord.
is gonna get her to
I
orgasm. I
heard
call
lip
it
gloss
8 and
there, and
8.
I lost my mind.
8
Bad Gemini.
minutes of
Bad,
rodeo.
Hold on,
He's bringing the
stop,
truth.
stop. Let's stop.
I need the 8
Bad
and 8.
Gemini and Bad Gemini's been here since probably the first sipping stream, actually.
Yeah.
Shut up for a second.
Let us fight.
I'll take a shot with you, Gemini.
You don't. Hold on. I gotta address Sarah. Sarah, you don't get to. When I first left, because I was started getting a little bit dizzy from drinking, and I was like, I can't. And then you go, oh, support the grift, and then I come up here, support the grift, and you're like, I just don't get what's going on. Stop it.
I think 10th Man got kicked, Sarah. You should check your.
He did. So,
I
sarcastic
hope
Jay
so.
with a big 5 says Baldy in the back for 5 minutes. AJ, we know you're gay. Don't deny it. Talk more about 10th Man, even when he isn't here. Time to come out. All right, Baldy in the back. And then Chairman says 10th Man is way too smart for this stream. He should get off this panel and stop gracing us with his wisdom. All right, you got 10 in the back. And Mike doesn't seem to like you, Gemini. What's up?
I love it. This is my job. Run that money up, Sarah. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. You got 5 in the back. All right. Damn,
Sarah,
you guys are dropping like flies tonight.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I honestly can't stay focused. This has been a wild ride of.
It
of
started very productive, though.
and then it took a turn for the worse.
Fair enough. All right, I'm gonna give you guys one last final 30-minute goal. Hit that goal, or we all go home. All right.
I
So
think I'll just end by saying I think we just need to pay more attention to, like, we call people simps, but kind of simps are they're staying committed to someone. Obviously, you don't want to chase someone that doesn't want you, but the fuckboy culture and the kind of like the counter backlash to whatever you're perceiving as wokeism or whatever. And I'm not very articulate right now. I think is like exacerbating fuckboy culture, especially exacerbated by social media and dating apps. So definitely something that need to be wary of. Appreciate it, everyone.
Are you heading out, Ivory?
Yeah, I'm cooked.
Peace, Ivory. Peace.
I can't keep my eyes open.
Fair enough. Ivory, thanks again for coming back to the panel. I certainly enjoy having you on here and expect to see more of you.
Yeah, I'll be here whenever I feel like I got something to contribute.
Fair enough. Have a good one,
Okay.
Ivory. All right.
And it's getting smaller.
No, there's still we still got bad. Oh, I guess Anson left. And Bad Gemini's still hanging on. 10th man left, but 10th man's really drunk, so he probably needed to leave anyways.
Sarah, can I ask you a question?
Maybe.
Would you rather have a man hit you up on online, or actually have a man walk up to you and say, "Hello, my name is such and such. I think you're very pretty, and I would like to take you out to dinner or coffee," or literally actually put himself out there?
Yeah, no, I hear the question. I think the default though is presuming that both the man that's online and both the man in person are both within my vicinity, right, and have access. So if presuming that both men live in the same community and I could bump into them here or there or whatever, or they would have the opportunity and instead choose to go online instead, yeah, of course I would rather have him be in person. I think anybody messaging me online or whatever, like if he DM'd me in my Insta or something weird like that, I
Like a
think
dating
that's
app there within your local vicinity?
well, a dating app though, it's expected, right? I'm there too. I'm on the dating app too. So I'm presuming that that's going to be the default of how these men are going to talk to me is through the dating app. So like if I was there on the dating app, yeah, I should expect men to message me online. Now, if I'm not on the dating app and somebody randomly reaches out to me on Instagram, then obviously now that's a different option. Now and we're presuming he lives within the same community as me and would still have access to run into me at a bar or at the grocery store or something like, or maybe he has ran into me or something.
What would you prefer?
Of course I prefer in person. I'm a people person in terms of
school.
I'm very old school. And then K2 Keep On Trucking says, Sarah, I would like to help you out with your super chat goal, but my sugar mama, she knows who she is in the chat, hasn't given me my allowance yet. Meow. Kissy cat. Kissy cat. Well, that's because Kissy cat wants to spend her allowance. No, Kissy cat wants to spend your allowance. How's that sound? Let Kissy cat do the spending. Women do all the spending anyways. But yeah, naturally I would rather have in person. But the way you pose the question, be mindful how you ask that. If you were to ask that outright, it wouldn't make sense because obviously if somebody's on an online dating app, then that's how they're reaching out to you, right?
Right, but you can filter or change your filter to create a larger radius. You could
Proximity is the
literally
number one decider. It's interesting that we're talking about this.
out for hundreds and hundreds of miles.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying is if I choose to go onto a dating app and I choose to open up the proximity range, right? Then I am obviously choosing for men to message me online versus going to the local bar and meeting them in person. I'm already making that choice by default.
I didn't ask what you chose. I asked what would you rather?
The preference. Yeah, she already answered that though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when-
I agree.
But
She did.
they're not two. If you really break down the question, they're not two in the same thing, right?
No, they're not.
Because you have to, with that question, you'd have to presume like a man would have physical access to, based on the question. It's just semantics. That's all. It's a stupid.
She could be 1,000 miles away. I mean, if it matters, if you're clicking, I mean, you're flying out.
Right.
What's
So
the difference?
therefore,
I mean, that's a thing now that exists, right? These long distance relationships are a lot more prevalent now that the internet exists.
with modern dating, women are finding more access to men online than they did before the internet. So they're raising their preferences without actually thinking about what they're getting themselves into and
It
it
expands your options. It expands your options, so now you have the ability to be more picky. If I live in a podunk nowhere town where the population is 10,000 people, obviously I have very, very, very limited options. So there's, drunk Johnny at the bar, there's plumber crack Harry down the street, or there's like the one guy that's promising. So
You just
by
attacked so
having
many Midwesterners.
I did. Oh, I'm from the Midwest originally.
Yeah.
Sarah, I think you forgot the hobos sitting outside the bar.
Right.
He hits on
I'm
They're
every
just
woman.
scenery.
I am from the podunk town nowhere in the middle of the Midwest. So I lived there. I know what I'm talking about. So when you have limited options, it's very obvious that if you have the internet, you can expand your options more, right? So now you have the ability to be more
women
picky.
do you think that made women more delusional of what their options are?
I don't think it's delusional.
Probably
I
made
think it's
everyone.
actually, I think there is a realistic aspect to the idea of saying, well, I want a 6 foot tall man that makes six figures and has a six pack. Well, there might be one of those, 3,000 miles away, just waiting for me to swipe right on him. I've increased my chances. Now, would I be delusional in the aspect of believing that he would want me? Now that's a different ball game, but that doesn't mean that there isn't one that exists out there.
Why is the framing of these
God
questions
damn
always
it.
like the women are the delusional ones, or they're the ones who don't understand what's happening? It's this red pill framing is always weird to me.
You would be
I
putting yourself.
actually agree with you on that, Effigy.
I'm
I
going
was just going to say
to
the same thing.
hold on
First
just
time I
a
agree with
second.
him.
I want to veto Sarcastic Saints $5. I'm going to actually put a 10-minute timer to keep Bad Gemini on screen for 10 minutes, and then I'll put him backstage. I want him to at least be part of the conversation.
Wow.
I met him
No,
for a
I'm
very
okay with
limited.
it.
All
They
right.
look, they paying the money for it. I'm gonna pay the rules. There's no special vetoes.
All right.
I'm in the back for 5 minutes. Holla at your boy.
All right. 5 minutes.
That's a man right there. It's like no exceptions.
You got lucky, Sarcastic Saint. I was going to veto or at least delay for a little bit so I could get some conversation out of him. And Nate with the Big 10 says, this is for the content. Been watching for a little bit now, and I feel like I should send something here and there. Thank you for being a kind provider. I should call you all daddies now.
No.
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 Let's not
No.
start that. That's
No.
that's some wild shit.
No.
You can call me
Oh,
daddy all you want.
No.
see, I knew I'd find one in the mix.
Don't do it.
That was
Don't do
very kind of you, Nate. Thank you. All right. So, anyways, so women have the ability to expand their options. So maybe in Podunk Nowhere, maybe she is the ugly duckling. She's thick, and the men there maybe don't like the thicker women or whatever. But then if she skedaddles out, right, and goes maybe to Florida in her Tinder dating app, and there's some dude out there that thinks that her 500-pound Cheeto eating ass is the hottest thing since sliced bread, and he's a total simp for her. It is possible. I don't think it's delusional to believe that there's somebody out there because we've expanded our search area. And little Miss Kissy Cat says, or mommy. Yes.
It's not
My
delusional at
little
all.
No,
mommy.
I mean that happens. That certainly
No, yeah.
happens. You
So
see
like
these
I
cases
grew up in a really
of
small town as
feeders
well.
You're
And
delusional.
when I moved to a city for the first time, that was the first time I ran into tons of kind of people.
What happened
And
when
just
it-
exactly what you're saying, Sarah. I didn't meet a guy who was down with the big girls until I moved into a big city. But they
Oh.
exist. There are guys
You
out
you were in
there.
a town with a bunch of athletic people, FGs. That's
Well, no, it's just normal people who
Normal people.
I just didn't.
Wow.
this fucking effigy
Wow.
guy.
Well, what it does is because when you're actually in a smaller arena, more people stick to what the narrative, the normative, or whatever is, and more people are less inclined to come out and say, "Oh, I have I like women who beat the shit out of me and call me names," or or make me walk on a leash, or I like big women, or I like it because it goes against the typical normal behavior, right? But
Yeah.
where you're in a bigger city, like if 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 you're if you come out and say I like big women, your community can't disown you, because guess what? There's a million and one other people out there in that community who you can find and pick someone who isn't going to judge you or hate you for that. So that's where that kind of little
Right.
piece
Smaller
comes in.
communities breed more homogeneity. It takes larger
Mhm.
communities to get diversity.
Mhm.
Even the okay to have certain kinds of diversity of thought.
But I wouldn't even necessarily disagree that it doesn't create at least some level of delusion, though, because when you're talking about like actually being able to get the guy or get the girl, you know, like you're talking about getting the ring, getting the full relationship, right? We're not just talking about the one night stand crap, because I mean that that's crap. That's not beneficial to anybody, not in the long term. So I do think that to some degree, women having a massive amount more options in their dating pool and their selection process will make them limit those options down to just the five that they normally wouldn't have been able to choose from. And having 1 million women choose those same five and all thinking they have a shot with those same five guys does I mean that is kind of a little delusional for a million women to all think they could, get a ring from the same five guys.
Yeah, but it's kind of like arrogant to assume men don't also do that to each other.
Right, I
Like,
didn't say that they didn't. I said both sides.
we always look for the pinnacle of what women are, and if our coworkers, our friends
Yeah.
don't have that pinnacle of a woman, we are so quick to criticize.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't disagree. I do think it happens both directions. But what we were speaking about earlier was just the question was posed specifically to Sarah about does she think women, do this? And so that's what I was speaking to. But I
And
would agree. Yeah.
sarcastic Saint in with the big five says, Sarah, the men on the panel have a choice to either call you mommy for the rest of the stream, or you put them in the back for 5 minutes. This goes for all. So I will now be referred to as mommy, and no longer Sarah, I guess. So
I, for one, am in
Oh.
favor of our new mommy overlord.
we found
First
the
off-
kink. We found the kink. Well,
That
I
was
want to, I
not
want to,
enough money.
I want to answer. Yeah, I do agree with that. That's not enough money because the boot has to be $5 per
$5 per.
person.
Yeah, exactly.
So this only accounts for one person. Sarcastic.
I'm leaving.
Good catch,
Perfect
Gemini.
timing.
Good catch.
Dan.
So I will say for the delusional aspect to it, there's nothing wrong with thinking. I mean, in my aspect, or in how we're talking, we're kind of talking about swiping right on Tinder, right? And having that slight chance of hope that they might swipe right as well. I don't think that's delusional. I think that's, hey, I'm going to swipe for anybody I'm attracted to and I'm interested in. Whether that message comes back or not, that's a whole nother ball game. But you're still going to, because the concept of Tinder is, am I attracted to them? Can I see myself dating them? Yes or no? Right? That's the starter. That's the default. Now, even if these women go out into the real world and they're at a bar and they look at a man and they're like, damn, he's a tall drink of water. I'd fuck him or take him home, or I'd want to have his babies or whatever. I still don't think that's delusional. You're still just attracted to somebody. It may be a one-way attraction. And, maybe she's holding out for that one guy in the world that she's attracted to that's a 6 foot, 6-pack, 6-figure man. She's maybe holding out, but hey, at least she's holding herself to a standard that she chooses. Is that delusional or
Sarah,
is that
Sarah,
actually?
what are you holding out for? That's very descriptive. Like we all concerned as guys. Like you salivate and like, is there a guy you saw in a magazine? Has somebody approached you? Like you gave this full description of what you would like. Like what would you like if you were out here actively dating? What's your type? Because that's what you can't. I need to know.
It's just
Inquiring
nature.
minds need to know.
Bro, you be killing me, bro.
I just need to know. Because she came with a whole dissertation.
described it, yeah.
This tall, this tan, this complexion,
Well,
works out,
that's
likes
what
kids.
he's referring to. That's
No,
what
what are
he's
you referring to, though?
to.
That's what I'm asking.
He's saying the women that are delusional, right? These are women that he's saying like they're, overweight or this or that, blah, 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 blah. And he's saying that they're delusional if they're,
No.
well, then
That actually wasn't what I was
and need a
speaking to at all.
device.
That actually wasn't what I was speaking to at all. But you did bring up a good thing about the individual, and I would agree on an individual basis. Maybe it doesn't look delusional, right? What I'm saying is it delusional for 1 million women to think that they can get a ring from the same 5 men?
Right, but Brother Cleaner, that's what I'm saying, Brother Cleaner, and Brother Gemini, Sarah too, panel, everybody. This is what I'm saying. Like, we're in a time right now where we're seeing very young women who are even of legal age in big cities, like Effigy was talking about. All these more issues we deal with in cities, right? They're dating men way older that are way more prominent than men of their age range. It's becoming normalized, and it goes the same for men who are being recluse to playing video games and just watching porn or whatever these arguments about, on Tinder, meeting women who just want to get paid for dinners, whatever. This is what we're dealing with. I think with this technology, we're experiencing a time that we haven't experienced before.
Say that last part again.
You talk. That sounds like a hopeless generation. I'm listening to you.
Yes, Brother Gemini. I know, and I get it. We got to be positive. We got to be hopeful. But I think we also need to be realists and understand that we're in a society now where the fabrics of what we thought were how we do things has been completely devolved, and now it's being reconstructed. And a lot of people don't think the reconstruction is going anywhere. But then you have a lot of people who think the reconstruction is a form of evolution, right? And I think this is why we have these great debates, respectfully.
It's probably de-evolution.
Things,
this
right?
shit happened in ancient times. These age differences and shit, just like, having mentors and having such a large age difference and wild shit happening. Like, I mean, realistically, the social media, fucking dating apps, it's just more iterations of socialization. It's just like going to a bar a fucking 1,000 times a night and finding that one that you just think, you know what I mean? It's the same shit, but in reality, the physical nature of how humans exist, that's the real shit. As soon as you meet someone, you can call their bullshit. You ought to be able to by the time you're ready to find a mate. And,
I think we all
religion
agree
is a
that-
great fucking basis for doing this. I
but
wish people would
the most
want religion, but
unintended
we're all
consequence
very
of
against it
apps
these
has
days.
been to
Here's
elevate
a
and
good
echo
question. Here's a
the
good
most
question.
psychotic
Did
behavior in
catfishing-
apps.
Hold
in
on, though.
dating,
Here's
right?
a good question, Effigy. Did catfishing exist in the Middle Ages, in the Roman times, in the Renaissance era? Did catfishing exist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Deceptions always existed. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like,
Fucking
while
arranged
as a
marriages.
tool, and we
Definitely
made this
did.
tool for a function, it's also magnified the worst aspects, the most psychopathic aspects of dating, the using another person for your own benefit aspects of human interaction. And I think that's what kind of taints it the wrong way for a lot of us, because that's what happens the most. That's like what its MO has become. Because those guys who only use it for a sex app, is using one of these dating apps for a sex app the same as the intention of using it for a dating app? Do you guys think?
No, absolutely not.
I heard the gentleman above say arranged marriage, right? And I thought that was so intriguing because I know people have their opinions on like the divorce rates and all that. But don't you guys think like arranged marriage to a certain degree is a completely different categorical approach? It's almost like a business agreement between two families where
100%.
marriage is essentially not about how you feel. It's about the progression of your generational evolution and success through your family, combination. And so it's
Let
like,
me say this though.
is that the same as what we're talking about, like catfishing,
It still involves that's different because catfishing
is pretending to be
involves
something you're not, right?
Deception on its onset. Like you can't hide from that. When we're talking about arranged There's deception in it, but the deception is I have to suppress how I feel about my significant soon-to-be other, whether male or female, which means that's when the contractual part, comes into the arrangement, which means I might hate your guts, but our parents decided that we need to match up. It's a done deal. There's nothing I can do to say I don't want any parts of this. Sometimes you can, depending on the family stature and if they think there are other viable candidates. But in most instances, when they agree to that, that's that. Catfishing is just initially deception out the gate.
Yeah, totally
Yeah,
different
there's no
story.
hiding from that.
Orca Speaks and with the big five says, how do dating apps affect birth rates? Anybody
Well,
have
and
a thought on that?
I think this actually
Oh,
speaks to
definitely
what I
more
was talking
babies.
about with the million women after the 5 men. If you have a million women that are all chasing the same 5 guys, I mean, yeah, all right, they might get a hookup, but if those are 5 virtuous good men who are like, no, I'm not going to sleep with you until we get married, then I mean, obviously that's going to lower the birth rate.
Well, even technically, it poses a great question. Like pre-condom era in the West, how did people approach physical intercourse? As opposed to now on dating apps, it's kind of expected.
We have to
It's
go way
almost
back in time to get pre-condom era.
It's
Right.
almost
Like modern times.
Well,
Not
the
modern.
consequence. There's no.
If you don't have
We don't have consequences for if you
Right.
like. You can wear a condom, which is preventative maintenance. You can be on birth control, which is preventative maintenance. You can have an abortion, which is preventative maintenance. Right. So all of the consequences that would have come with premarital sex or casual sex are no longer exist. So you can go do whatever you want, and there's
Well,
no
I mean,
penalty.
let's be
to
clear.
pay.
There's almost no time in modern civilization, and even pre-modern civilization, where humans haven't been trying to find a way around that.
Right.
There was a thing in the Roman era called moon tea that
Yeah.
was used to create abortions, and they can't even find the plant that made it because they think it went extinct because it was used so much.
Damn.
And so even like reading women's ovulation cycles goes back even
Mhm.
further than I think we even know.
Right.
Humans have
And they used to use
always been trying to
sheepskin,
get
I think.
around the
Back even
connection
further.
between sex and procreation because they want to have sex without the procreation, and that's a very, very old want in humanity.
Yeah, because we
Because
we we are one of the few that do it just for pleasure.
Well, because we're not animals, right?
Right.
Like the biological mechanism is there to make us procreate. But
Yeah,
if
but
we're
it's
actual
like-
thinking creatures, we can separate the two, and we have.
Oh,
Sex
we're
is a
animals,
lot
though.
animals-
more than just procreation to human beings. Yeah,
Average
and I
so
think you would
animals
all have to
attempt
admit
to
that.
procreate when they're graping each other because that happens same sex all the time with like predators in the jungle and the Sahara. Like
There are all kinds
Do
of
you
crazy
think animals
variations
call it
of
that
sex
though?
in
Look
the
what you
animal
just
kingdom.
said.
I mean,
No, sir, we call it that, sir.
Yeah, I'm saying so. Animals ain't. So when you talk about animalistic behavior, we're
Well, no, you can-
associated with animals, but they don't even call it that. That's
there are
human
species
behavior.
of animals that have lifelong mates. Like there are
Yeah,
species of animals
we
that
call it
only
that.
reproduce through grape. There are species of animals that only reproduce by like shooting out stuff into the ocean and then running away until someone else comes there. You know, there are any
species of animal
spectrum
that
of
only
ways to reproduce
reproduce.
animals in
That's
cases.
K2 keep on trucking says, "Can you play the Hey Mammy You Sexy song?" LOL, just kidding. And then Kissy Cat says, "We need some tea in here." Horse video, I agree.
This message is sponsored in part by.
Thank you, Kissy Cat, for
That is
bringing
a
the
fine
tea
horse.
levels
I
back
don't know who
up.
that
Damn,
woman
she
is,
works
sir,
out.
but she,
That
yeah,
horse had a great ponytail.
Mm.
Oh, there was a
great,
woman in there
great,
too.
great
I'm sorry.
body, like
That
a
was horrible.
Greek goddess, real shit.
Um,
All I saw was a
I
ponytail.
so
Great.
Cleaner, you were talking about millions of women going for like the 5 dudes. I think
Right.
and we're kind of on the topic of historically speaking, right? As animated effigy was kind of referring to with the preventative maintenance for child making, baby making. I think we could historically say that that's always been the case, like, that the women want the top, the best, the best of the best, because that is a resource, that is your protector, your provider, that is the father of your children. So we are all naturally inclined to all want the best of the best. I don't think that's delusional. I don't think that's crazy. I think it's normal and natural for a million women to all want the same 5 men. Now, how that works out later in the long run is the 999 whatever, eventually settle for someone that settle, and I say that with air quotes here, settles for someone that actually is compatible with her and works, because that is how she can obtain a husband and have babies, and so on and so
Well,
forth.
no, like outside of
That's the thing, though, Sarah. Just by saying settle using air quotes, you're showing that to some degree they are being delusional.
Yeah, because outside of the economic stability, you then have to. This is why we have like a norm. You can listen to divorce lawyers and listen to them talk about it. Like we have a normalization of, especially if you're in the wealthy class, of getting divorced every 5 to 10 years. It's almost not even like taboo anymore, whereas it used to be taboo. Having children out of wedlock, getting divorced, all these things. Now it's like normalized. So it's like, I think after the economic stability, it's what Sarah's talking about. It's the compatibility of your emotion, your soul, your consciousness. But it really boils down to, I think, what
Your
Effigy was saying
schedule.
earlier. If you're in a town of like 1,000 people, those 1,000 people are probably going to be less judgmental and competitive with each other, regardless of how they look and think and who they worship. Maybe not who they worship, but as opposed to like big cities where that competition becomes so high, and the product is the people we see on the magazines and the TV. So everyone's trying to implicate that they are what we all look up to.
Mhm. And Orca
Clearly,
Speaks says with the big five, sorry, doesn't change the fact that it's killing a baby. Yeah, we all recognize abortion is abortion. I don't believe it's a good route to go. I mean, abstinence is key, but be preventative in other ways so that you don't have to kill a child just because you were being stupid on a drunk night. Back to you, Cleaner. I believe you were saying something.
Oh no, I had said it. I think that just by using the air quotes and saying that women are settling for a guy that's actually in their range or their league or whatever, that's showing that to some degree they are being delusional, chasing after the same 5 guys.
I think we could say it both ways. Okay, so a supermodel, a sexy supermodel.
I don't think we can.
Yes, we can. I think it's reasonable to say that most men would look at that supermodel and be like, "God damn, I want that," right? But they would settle for the average 6 in town because she makes him laugh and she's funny and willy nilly.
This is the difference, though. Okay, guys typically have an understanding because this is what happens in society. Okay, whenever we go out there, we start dating, we start swiping, doing all this stuff, we get rejected by a lot of women, and so we kind of understand by the type of women, how they look, their status, their value, things like that, right? We kind of get a feel for where we range, and we understand where we range. Women don't. Women will get swiped whatever direction is yes by men who are fucking 500 billionaires left and right. I mean, women will get higher status men that just want to bang them and leave them. So it's
That's
not
becoming
actually
common knowledge now. Shit's changing a little.
Brother Cleaner, I don't think we're disagreeing that men will date, downgrade specifically to build up a woman in that regard. Like there's a trend. I think we agree with you, but we got to understand both ways that exists.
Privilege is a thing
even
that exists
even
on
as a
both
man,
sides.
even as a man, if you date a woman that's not the prom queen of high school or just the greatest looking woman in the gym, multiple men look at her when she's in her skin tight spandex, you're gonna get criticized by your brothers, your cousins, your coworkers, your friends. And I think as a man, you're being disingenuous when you just kind of blindside that whole argument and go, all women are looking for that Greek god, Chris Hemsworth, Thor, and Marvel man.
Yeah, I didn't say all.
We do the same as men, and I agree with you. A lot of men will settle, but at the same time, it's not. Those men aren't held to a more respectful position. They're criticized just as much for not having a beautiful woman that we would all call it 10 or a 9.
It
or a
affects people
9.5.
equally. It's just economics. It's supply and demand. Who's got
Okay,
the supply?
so when a guy is looking for a girl to bang, I would agree. Yeah, okay. He'll be looking for like supermodel. He'll never get her, right? Obviously, not if he's not in her
Is
zone
he
or has something
delusional? Is he delusional then?
by thinking that she's hot.
Is he delusional for looking for the hot lady and knowing that he's not going to get it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And other guys will call him out on it. And that's where he gains his understanding of where he belongs in the social score of things, in the dating marketplace, right? His value is by his friends going, dude, you had no chance with that chick. I don't know what you were fucking thinking. Why'd you even step to her, right? I mean, we've all done this to each other at some point. You know, if a dude steps to some chick who's just way out of his fucking league. It
Yeah,
happens.
I need to white knight, bro. But it's like I don't want to white knight, but it's like, let's be real. Are there not girls being used by dudes who don't think they were wife worthy and just play with them for 3 years, dump them, find another one, upgrade?
Yeah, I'm not saying there's not. And you're actually speaking
ways,
to my
big
point
dog.
there.
It happens both ways.
You're actually reinforcing my point with what you said there, though, Tomato. Because what I'm saying is these girls are misunderstanding sexual advances from men for relationship advances. And so they are getting delusional, thinking that they can get higher class men than what they can actually get a ring on their finger for.
Let me
You
say
see what I'm
this.
saying?
Look, the only reason a man can say to another guy that this woman is outside your league is if he's had experience in getting women outside of his league or those guys' league. Like, if you have not accomplished that, then you can't limit this guy. You don't know what he can do, right? Because one thing I've learned is when beautiful women who are in a certain tax bracket, you know, the number one compliment, hey beautiful. You know how many times, look, think about Sarah. She has to hear this all the freaking time. That can't be a great entry point. Hey baby, you beautiful. That comes without saying. She even thinks she's beautiful, even though we know she's a strong 7. Like, I'm not gonna fool myself, right? So when I look at her, I'm not gonna lead with, hey Sarah, you're beautiful. I'm gonna lead with how I led, which I'm gonna talk about her bangs, right? Because I'm gonna say, obviously, you have a lot of forehead to hide there, and I'm not saying that you're not an attractive woman, but why do you have your bangs so long to not be 3 or 5 years old? So that's the thing. And when she talks to me, we can indulge in that. But if I come, hey, beautiful, sexy, she's like, I'm gonna take this free drink you're gonna buy me, but after that, I don't want to talk to you. And so we have to have some nuance when it comes to these conversations. And that's all I'm at. Like, I don't want to hear all of this. I can never discredit any guy because I've seen some of the most techish, lamest, nerdiest guys get women you would never imagine, but they had a different approach. They didn't lead with their balls. They didn't lead with, oh, you the finest thing on earth. They led with, this is me. And that woman was like, you know what? Something is intriguing about this guy. He was himself, and I like him. So I'm always going to encourage guys to be themselves. That's all I'm saying.
I don't agree with that, though. I think as like friends,
You don't have to
Let me
agree with it.
interrupt for
You don't have to
interrupt for
agree with
just
it.
a
True.
moment.
Money will always win. but I
Speaking
get
of strong 7s, here's for you, K2.
This message is sponsored in part by.
You disrespected her. She a 9. Stop it, Sarah. That's a strong 9. You will not put her
I was talking
in the
about the
same category
horse.
as you. Oh, okay. Well, the woman was a strong 9, but yeah, the horse is a 7. You know.
Damn.
So
yeah.
you're on par with the horse. Good job.
Everybody, we don't. There is no woman in that video. It's just a horse.
I
No
can't
way.
What are you
tell
talking
because the
about?
first time I saw
Gorgeous
the horse, the second time I
European,
saw the
probably
woman.
American descendant
I just see
cowgirl
the
that hops
the
off that beautiful
jorts.
horse every time.
I
Way
love
too
it.
short.
And her tank top is great. She didn't even need to be in a wet t-shirt contest. The shirt was already wet and my contest was already a winner. But look, I'm gonna say this when it comes to you, Sarah. Look, you have a great smile. I like how you blush, even though you don't have to do much to turn red because you were born red. I get that, so I'm not gonna talk about that. But when it comes to us guys, like selling these dreams, really, as a guy, because it's limited, in the type
Damn,
of
she
guys that
yawning.
women have to deal with. First off, you have to consider the women that were broken up with, the women that came from failed relationships, the women that hate their baby daddies, the women that think all guys are of a certain persuasion, right, part of the community. So when you eliminate all these certain factors, like as a guy, you have a lot of traction. You have to capitalize on that. So that's why I can't fall to the whole premise of, oh, you know, they out of your league. Out of what league? These women are just glad that they can find a respectable, approachable, loving guy. And I've seen it. You can got geeks that are getting 9s and 10s. It can happen. So work on your game. I'm not going to use that as an excuse. Any guy can get a woman like Sarah, even though that's not quite what they may want, but she's a good baseline to settle with. If you wanted to have like just like a you know, a middle ground, I would say Sarah would be the middle ground. But if that's your middle ground, that's a great middle ground to have at Sarah. If you want a guy, if you want a woman better than Sarah, you can accomplish that. But if you end up with Sarah, that's a win. That's a great, you know, Sarah, don't you think you're a good win?
I think
Of
I'm an all right
course.
catch.
Oh, now she diminishes herself. I'm not going to listen to her. I'm done. I'm quiet. Let me mute
Great
myself.
smile.
Look, if
Why
you want
would
to
you
talk
not?
about what
So
I'm
simpy,
capable
bro.
of,
He's trying to get into them
then
toes.
People
yes,
these days
I
just tune that
think
shit
I
out.
bring a lot to the table comparatively because not only can I put your IKEA furniture together, but I could build you a patio, and I could bake you lasagna, or I
Oh
could
shit!
take care of your babies, and
But
I could
and
do
she
all
gonna
this.
bring
That's
her
all you
beautiful
can do right
kids too.
there.
She gonna bring
But
her
I'm
kids
gonna
too.
bring my beautiful 2 kids too.
And you
You
better
ain't
So,
need
be
to
ready
lay
to
no
parent as a
tile.
dad.
hmm,
Be
I
ready
didn't
to
hear.
parent as a dad. That's what you got to be. Because if you playing these games, first off, Sarah don't have time to play games. It's a all inclusive package, right? And so I've have I done enough pandering? I'm done. I'm gonna pass it off to these guys. They know what to do from here because obviously they're not your type and you're not their
I
type.
thought you
Sarah,
were about to propose.
no, I
You're
can't do that. No,
Chug,
Sarah
chug,
understand. This
chug.
is
Might have needs to rename Gemini the Panda Bear.
look, yes, the pander. I pander the para. The pander the bearer. But
Panda
bars
the
reverse.
Sarah.
He has insulted me enough. We're well balanced.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, we're
goddamn.
good.
Is that
Don't worry about me. Y'all need to do y'all job. Sarah's never worried about me. She understands that if I was single, me and her would be in some cabin in Colorado having a good time. I feel bad for y'all guys that are actually available and y'all can't make it happen. This sucks for y'all. I
You
hate these
snowboard?
guys.
Yeah, but I'm married.
You
valid
snowboard or
question?
ski?
Valid question.
Or just
So
go hunt
am
for
I.
snow bunnies?
Look, I'm married too. So now what we talking about? I gave that. I said if I
Oh,
were
okay.
single. Yeah.
If you
What are we
weren't,
talking
all right.
Hey,
And
man.
Gemini is
Snowboarding
first
is
one.
great, dude. Like if you're a real man and you're not white and you hate on snow bunnies, there's something wrong with you, dude. There's something wrong.
Dog,
first
snow,
off, she's not your typical snow bunny.
Snow bunnies
She
are
has
so
a hint
fluffy.
of rosacea. She has a hint of rosacea, so she's a red bunny. She's not your classic snow bunny. But her bangs are way better than they used to. I'm telling you, if y'all could go
I feel like
revisit an
rosacea
old
medical.
video, her bangs were struggling. She was from Bangladesh. It was
They
terrible back then.
go through waves
got-
depending on their growth and where they're at and what I can do with them.
You inherited
So,
their bad karma with them bangs, with that Indian hair.
Yes, it was, but she's good though. She's swacked out. But anyway, back to the conversation because you guys were trying to say some insightful thing about women, even though I know half of y'all failed because y'all don't know how to approach women. But
We
I'm gonna
said shit in
listen
10
just
minutes,
because I
bro.
may.
What's
Go
your
ahead,
number,
go ahead,
Gemini?
I'm listening.
What's your body count, bro?
why would
No,
that
it's
be
low. It's
important?
extremely low. I'm not gonna get into that.
Good.
I'm married.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
No, let me tell you
Good
why
talk.
it's low
Let me
because
buy you
I
a
spent
drink.
That's
most of
way
my
better,
time
dude.
talking
It's
like
wild
this.
out here. It's wild out
Yeah.
here. People don't want to commit, man.
I wouldn't.
You
I
get past
wouldn't.
10, it's like shit,
Here's
dog.
what I'll say. I wouldn't say that a man having a high body count is commendable, and I wouldn't
No.
say it's even something to brag
It's
about.
not positive.
It's natural.
Neither side is it positive.
It's
The
natural.
chick fucking 1,000 dudes in a day, like, dude, society is wilding out.
That
here.
that is
Dude,
not
that's
that is
That's
unnatural.
fucking
That is
deplorable.
unnatural.
Yeah, when we're
Yeah.
allowing it.
That's
Kind
weird.
of wild.
I
Shame.
need to talk like somebody, grandmama. That's nasty, baby. That's
God
nasty.
damn.
You can't be letting all these boys get their pogo stick in your hoo-ha, baby.
Mama, I'm grown.
Okay,
I'm
pogo
grown.
sticks
I'm
in your
grown. I'm
hoo-ha.
grown. I'm grown, Mama. You ain't
No, but that's
telling
what,
me
guys.
how many
That's
black I'm gonna.
that's a
get.
great redirection indirectly to what we're talking about, because we're living in a time where with dating apps, it's okay to have a higher body count, man or woman.
It's a
Transgender or not.
society. It's a society.
Not 1,000 in a
Transgender.
day.
But
Transgender. How
how
you
I
gonna
look
bring
In the
at
that
day,
in
that
there?
was a red flag.
I don't think it's
You're nuts.
something. I don't think it's something anybody should brag about by any means. I mean, you could joke about it, have fun with it, but I don't think it's bragging rights. I wouldn't like hang that as a trophy on my case or put that as a trophy.
No.
There's
It's
a
definitely an
difference
indicator
between
of
men.
behavior, though.
There's a difference between men and women. But
Can I add this? This goes back to what I'm hoping to talk to Ivory about. And I
Hold on,
talked about him before.
real quick. What do you mean?
mate.
There's not a difference,
there is a
or
difference.
there is a difference? What do you mean?
Just men are programmed like that, and women get used up. I mean, it's just how
So
it is.
men should be able to dip it, and women can't.
Women can do whatever they want, but I don't think I can't agree with a woman getting run through by 1,000 dudes at once. I mean,
This is
that
the
says a
point.
lot about both sides.
This is the point I was going to get to that I want to talk to Ivory about is it goes a big reason why we have to have this conversation is because of what's pushed in the media. And he was disputing what I said about how the wrong ideas are pushed in the media. Women who do, in this particular conversation, women who do have high body counts are often applauded by too many influential people, and
then
it shouldn't be that way.
It spreads.
Yeah, exactly. So the
There you
wrong
go.
messages are being spread. Now, I'm not saying that men should go out and bang 1,000 women at once and discipline all of them to stay at home and be housewives while he goes and does what he wants. I don't condone
There's
that
nothing
behavior.
wrong with that.
But
There's nothing wrong with that if the woman wants it.
yeah, but men having high body counts is different to women. But the women who do have high body counts are applauded by too many influential people in society, and that's a problem.
But I can't do much.
It's maybe socially different, but I don't think it's spiritually different.
We might have to do some addition, subtraction, a little bit of division too, to figure it all out. But I mean, at the end, it might not be a spiritual thing.
Dude, it's just, what's crazy to me? Maybe it's because my brain's analytical. So I'm looking at both sides of the coin, and I'm going, how do we even have women making money digitally, or how they say prostitution was the first form of employment since the beginning of time? Well, that's it's like the mainstream theory, right?
It's the oldest.
No, it's not.
It's what they say. It's the oldest. It's what they fucking say. It's a
the
saying.
Oldest form of employment.
Yeah.
Not.
What if
It's
there
not
were
the oldest
profession?
there's a-
There were male
The oldest
prostitutes.
profession. Thank
Oldest
you.
profession.
They say that.
No,
Yeah,
so
we
it's
all
confusing.
know it's not, but
Bloody
it's
ass.
just saying that it's been around for a really long time. Nothing about it has changed in dynamics. Like it's maintained the same consistency. Fuck me, give me money. Thank
All
you.
it's saying is that that is the
Real
oldest
tomato.
want.
Real tomato.
The second you invented money,
Guys,
you
just
gave
really
that money
quick,
to
guys. I'll
someone
shut
for
up,
the
I
oldest
promise.
want.
Just really quick, guys. If the
A
consumership
home
didn't
builder
exist-
is the
if
oldest.
if the consumership didn't exist, would there be such a criticism of the product?
Well, one of the reasons why there's unfortunately a big consumer base for sex work is because men, and this is what I was talking to Ivory about. Yeah, men aren't doing as well as they used to. Now, we can talk about the reasons for that. Men do need to do better, but I mean it's a two-way street. Men are more desperate. Yeah, men are more desperate than they've ever been, but women are also more promiscuous than they've ever been, and they've had more power than they've ever had. And I know we can disagree on that
You know
all the
what's
time. But
funny with
that's a
you
valid
saying
point.
that? Hold on. With you saying that women are more promiscuous, but yet men aren't getting as much ass. It's actually makes men look even worse because it's like you really have to fail and fuck up if women are practically giving it away for free and you're still not on that list.
Well, Sarah, hold on, hold on. Can I respond to that? Can I respond to that? Hold on. Can I hold on? Can I respond to that? Can I respond to that? Like, Sarah,
you may not want to be.
Sarah, I said
it's been ran through 100 people.
Well, Sarah, I said, Sarah,
some of us are dogs.
Sarah,
too. We don't give a damn.
Sarah, I said.
That's it. That's what I was gonna say, Gemini.
I mean, you could say that, but on the guy's side, you could say like, women are out there with even more men nowadays than ever before, and they're not getting a ring.
Hold
They're not getting a ring. So
Just responding, Sarah, just responding to the point.
Hold on. With what Cleaner just said, no, like they're not out there with more men. They're out with the same exact men putting out, but then the same losers aren't getting it. I don't get it.
yeah,
Like,
I get what you're saying. I'm saying they're having more sexual experience, but not getting a ring. So it kind of works both ways.
Sarah,
But it all has to do with what our imperatives are, what it is that we care about, and what our preferences are. And our preferences are guided.
It doesn't sound like the rings are that important to those women.
Well, Sarah, you mentioned
This is
you
what
brought
I
up a
mean
point.
about one-sided bias because I
real
mean
tomato. I could
westernized bias, right? Hold on, Fight Sports, just really quick. You've been trying to talk and everyone's not letting you. So let me just get this in. I genuinely believe we're having a one-sided westernized bias here. Because when you look at places like Asia, a lot, and as a brown dude, I hate saying this, large parts of like India, Islamic countries, right, Islamic nations, they've been drowning females in milk the moment they're born because of the fact of the dowry and all this, like, oh, we got to take care of this. It's going to cost money. We'd rather have a boy to go make money and work. This is why they have 5-to-1 in some countries, 6-to-1 ratios of male to females, even though they hold some of the largest populations in the world, right? And over there, these arguments just don't work. What you guys are talking about don't work. Like, we have at least 40,000 rapes recorded. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah, grapes recorded in India every day, and that's just recorded. In a country like that, God knows how many girls are getting raped that aren't. It's not being recorded, and some census is putting it down. But we know as of now, every day it's 40,000 people, and that's a country with over a billion people. So this concept that women are just out there doing this, it's not a worldwide concept. It's a westernized concept.
Well, to responding to your point, Sarah, you mentioned something that I mentioned, which is, men. You said it makes men look worse. Yeah, it does make men look worse because men as a whole do need to do better, and we can talk about the reasons why. It goes back to that word traditionalism, which again, I know what I said upset a lot of people, but when you go away from traditional roles, you end up with a lot of everything becomes convoluted, and that's what we have here, where men typically are doing worse, and women are doing better in some ways.
Why
but
is this always
not so
the
great in
argument? Most
others.
of the divorce rate comes from evangelical Protestants. Like, why is this always the argument? It's like it's this catch-all that you guys think will reverse time and put you back on top.
Yeah, but Effigy, a good argument against that.
What do you mean, you guys? What do you mean, you guys?
A good argument against that is arranged marriage is not confounded on whether you feel happy or not. It's a familial legacy-based contract. So if you're not happy, that doesn't matter. Like, all these people are going to get involved, and before you ever get divorced, even if you're unhappy, the marriage will conclude, right? Like, I think that's something we miss out.
Why are you talking about arranged marriages?
Arranged marriages are. It's not just you as the couple or you as the individual matched with somebody else. Now your entire family is involved and invested. So it's a community. Actually, there's a whole board system of community members, family members that are involved in this choosing. So you're not just saying, oh, well, I don't like you anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore. Now you have to tell your family, hey, the decision you made was wrong and good luck. Because if I ever had to tell my father he was wrong, I'd rather eat a pile of shit than tell my dad he was wrong.
Yeah, well, I don't know what Figgy meant when he said "you guys." I don't know who he was talking to.
Well, he's probably referring to the typical Christianity speaking point, right? Which
I didn't mention Christianity. I just mentioned traditionalism.
Sarah, when you got married the first time, did did your fiance ask your father for your hand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's kind of
My dad
an
told me. My dad told me. He said, he's like, don't make me walk down the aisle behind your back with a shotgun to you. He's like, you will marry this man. And I said, yes, sir.
And now you got dudes knocking their dads out, and the woman's
I'm
like,
still confused as to why we're bringing up arranged marriages. Like arranged marriages in the U.S. are only
He's
legal
bringing
if
it
they're
back to
consensual.
tradition. It was traditionalism. That's where AJ was going with it.
I don't know
Still,
if we
but
can
you
go
don't
back
have
to that.
the same kind of arranged marriages that the rest of the world
Sarah
has,
was a
like where
borderline
you
arranged
can't get
marriage.
out of it. In the U.S.,
I
it's
don't know if
only
we can
legal
go
if it's
back to that
consensual.
level of traditionalism.
The thing is, though, even if we're going to talk about traditionalism, even in prehistoric times, if we want to call it that, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, whatever, right? Arranged marriages were like less than 5% of the population of the planet was doing arranged marriages, which it's still pretty close to the same thing today. There's still less than 5% of the population is engaging in arranged marriages, so that's an exception
that's
to the
just
rule.
mathematically not
So
true.
I don't even think
World's population is
no.
China and India, and they do mostly arranged marriages. So you're talking about 4 billion people. That's less than 5%. That's wild. No, bro, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, they don't still do arranged marriages all over everywhere. This is something that's in a higher class of area of the world, right? This isn't something that happens. Poor families decide, okay, well, our son and your daughter, right? This isn't something that's happening like that all over the world. So you're actually mistaken there.
I think that's theoretical, but I think the numbers don't lie. Like there's you now have, like, as opposed to parents of our generation prior, where they just had a picture of who they were going to marry. Now you can FaceTime that person. You can actually meet that person
exactly
through the internet. It's changed, but I think you're living in La La Land if you think mothers and fathers
I
aren't
think the
involved with
statistics
Asian
were
children
like
marriages today. You're
half
crazy.
of marriages in the
Yeah,
world are
real
arranged.
tomato.
I was born and raised in the United States, and I'm married with 2 kids, and I didn't have a choice with who I was going to marry. Every girl I brought into my house that I dated was shunned because she wasn't of my race, and that's a huge issue from that part of the world. The caste system, the racism, like that's a huge frustration I have with Westerners about America being so racist, and our slave system and all that we used to have. But the reality is, like, currently we are not the most racist. In fact, we have the most diverse success, and the paperwork proves that. Like, you can't name one country with more minority success than the United States of America outside of the country of that homogenous indigenous race. You just can't. There's not one country that invites guests and allows them to become as wealthy as we do. So it's just like, for me, the perspective is very different.
Why were you shunned to want to marry somebody outside of your race?
Because the reality is, my cultural perspective from the elders in my family and whatnot, including my parents, is that the culture is so decayed, the divorce rate in itself is intimidating enough to not even risk. Because marriage in itself is a gamble. So they are more comfortable with the concept of religious familiarity, cultural familiarity, and through that, they find it a good gamble. Everything is an investment to these people. I've never said these cultures are morally correct. In fact, I fight for the West in that regard, but I think we're arguing these philosophical reasons because we're at this point in human civilization. So the reality is, these people are living 200 years ago, and they're not going to let their next of kin choose who they get to reproduce with, let alone accidentally reproduce with, right? So it becomes a huge stress level, and the suicide rates in these that deletion rate in those countries is very high because of the pressure that the parents put on these children, whether it's educational, whether it's who they choose to fall in love with. And these are just like human experiments that we're seeing throughout the world that I think, as people in advanced civilizations, need to acknowledge. We can't just sit in these one tunnel kind of opinions. We got to just step back and look at everything and go, okay, this is what's really going on.
Yeah. Well, really.
So are you describing arranged marriages for the future of humanity?
Dude, this is what I think. I think you're generalizing it too much.
I'm not. I'm actually just asking you a question.
Let me answer your question. My parents didn't even know who each other were before they got married. Their parents decided that, right? My dad was coming to the United States. I was lucky enough to be born in New York City, and then we moved to the West after. But the reality is like, these people didn't know who they were going to be married to, and the whole operation was built on a legacy platform, not how you make me feel and all this stuff that we are genuinely giving appreciation to now as human beings with rights and all this stuff. So it's like, now if you're talking about my generation, you get to FaceTime, you get to get on a plane and go talk to that person, and if it doesn't work out, you get to continue seeing other families. So it's like I think there's just this kind of bias for what we know as each other's experience. But if we just step out and look at like how they work over there, it's very like cerebral. It's not morally correct according to the West, but they're very cerebral about how they reproduce and how they form. Like I don't know if you guys are familiar with the caste system. There's a group called the Untouchables, and it's 600 million of the population in India, and they're all in poverty. Like they're not only about 180 million people in India are actually of the like first world economy, and some of the billionaires in India hold more wealth than most Western billionaires.
Thank God
But-
for America.
Okay,
Right?
so I'm not understanding.
Hold on, let him explain.
Thank you. I know I take a long time. Over 600 million people don't speak any real language or have any real education, and they're so stupid they're just reproducing because that's what their religion or their familial culture tells them. And if they have a girl, they'll drown it in milk. If they have a boy, they raise it and get it to work to bring money back to the herd, right? So like I think these are like tribal behaviors that we don't give enough credit to, and if we did, maybe it would help us understand our problems today more.
That's crazy.
So is that a yes?
Get
You're
religious.
prescribing arranged marriages, or a no?
Really
You didn't
quickly,
answer
just
my question.
as
No, I
a
don't know.
tangent, I'd like to
When
throw
I'm
out that the
70
birth
when
rate
I'm
is going
70,
down
then I
even in arranged marriage countries.
When I'm 70, we can talk about it, but I have no idea how to even genuinely answer that question. If you want me to be disingenuous and take a
I
side
can
of
answer
the
that.
argument, which is what you guys like to do on YouTube, I can't do that.
No. Please understand
I'm
my
just
question.
telling you, this is the situation I'm in.
I think
I
here's
can-
what I could say.
I can-
I think the point
don't
that
think you're
AJ is
understanding.
trying to was originally trying to make is that the cultures understand that as the best case scenario. That's how they understand it. They're raised that way. They get it that way. He was giving comparisons to the wealth versus the poor. He called the poor the untouchables, which means no family of stature would allow their baby girl or son to go and marry with the untouchables. So they choose and they procreate with intention of raising their family and creating continuing their legacy with intention. Whereas out here in the West, oh, you want to marry Joe Schmo because you love him? Okay, baby girl. We have no idea, like, I mean, of course, you can get to know them, but you don't know their bloodline. You don't know their we're a habosh of anything, and that's what AJ is kind of saying is that the arranged marriages may not be morally intact in terms of like matching with love and association and all of those things, or giving somebody the opportunity for free will. But he is saying that it did create a path for the legacy of a family to continue that legacy of the family in a very intentional way.
I understand
Yeah,
what he
and
is
if I
saying.
could
Have a baby with
But
another
what I
person.
was-
You
Hold
need
on,
to
real
be
quick.
more
Yeah, it was just
disciplined,
that-
right? Like you're trying to get me to answer a yes or no question for something very complex. If you're trying to recreate one of the few tools we have as a
That's actually not
society
what I was doing.
that is actually very powerful, like you have to understand that like some people take it in a very different light than what we're taking it in the West. That's all I'm trying
Right,
to.
you
Well,
misunderstood the question that I was actually asking, though. I wasn't asking if you prescribe no one do arranged marriages or everyone. I was just saying, would you prescribe arranged marriages or would you not prescribe them?
Dude, that's
And
so
I'm not saying like by
Okay.
saying you're not, you're
Can I-
saying
can I
nobody
throw
ever
some-
does, you know.
Cleaner, Can I,
Yeah,
can
go
I
ahead,
throw
go ahead.
something in there?
The point that I was
Cleaner.
getting at with this was just that
Cleaner,
we've
you
gone
made
off
your
on a
point. Can I-
tangent with
Hold on, Five.
arranged marriages, whereas we were talking about how people look at the body count issue. And then we brought it into arranged marriages, and I'm saying, I understand what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree that in the arranged marriages, the body count thing isn't even something they think about because you're assuming the other person hasn't been with anybody or something to that degree, right? And so I understand that, right? But I'm saying that's an exception nowadays to the rule. That's not necessarily where everybody's at. So I was trying to reapproach the generality of people. You know what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying, but like social media has changed that even in those countries. Like if you think the blue jeans culture,
true, yeah.
you think they can't access TikTok or Instagram, you're tripping. Like they can.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
has
that's true.
affected the culture over there. But I think we're talking about the origin of our approach. And like genuinely, when you ask me as another human being, do you prescribe to this? I can't speak on that because I feel like I'm too young and inexperienced or
I get
even
that.
without credibility to speak on whether it's a yes or no answer. I don't know if love marriage works better than arranged marriage. I just know that there's a large population on Earth that prescribes it, and it's kind of like anti-educational for us to just pretend like it doesn't exist. Like
Right.
it exists, and people don't prioritize their happiness and whether their love story is Disneyland perfect or fairy tale perfect. You know, they're all about like that animalistic sense of reproduction, and we need to be the best in this.
Yeah.
world.
I understand that, and that's why I left the question as yes, it's a prescription, or just no, I wouldn't prescribe it, but not. I was leaving the no side open ended because I mean, there could be other prescriptions, right? I wasn't making it a dialectic.
Now, I don't want to play devil's advocate, but do you prescribe
looks
it?
like her internet just cut out. God damn.
I don't think we can. I don't
That
think
is
we can
unfortunate.
go. I don't think we can. I don't think we can actually go back to arranged marriages because of social media. I don't think it's possible to convince children. I mean, maybe the real traditional parents, and I argue for traditionalism all the time on this. I've been on this channel twice, and first time I was for like half an hour. I was debating 4 people on why we should go back to traditionalism, but it's going to be almost impossible, I think, to make arranged Western traditions because we all live in the West. But as far as arranged marriages, I don't think it's possible with social media because you're going to have to convince people to ignore their cell phone, and unless you don't give them a cell phone, which again is I don't know if that even happens. It's arranged marriages would be good because again, society was better when we had a lot of traditionalism, which I've upset a lot of people on this page when I brought that up, but some of the stuff you have to change all of society, and that's just not doable.
Right, and I think to sum up, the answer would just be if I thought it was something we could do, I would prescribe it, but I don't think it's something that we'll be capable of doing.
No, never.
Yeah.
Never ever. All right, brothers, I'm rolling out.
One of the things
I'll see
that I
y'all
was-
later. Sarah, thanks for having me on.
Hey, Ty Floyd, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Oh yeah, great discussion.
Yeah,
I'll
man.
see y'all later.
Yeah.
God damn, brother. Talking for hours. That just devolved incredibly so. I'm not trying to fucking
15 minutes. 15.
Okay, fuck that shit. I'm trying to watch that tomorrow though. 2 a.m. Beautiful. Love that. What do we got here? I should have never said.
But the reason why we have so many failures at the moment is partly, and a big reason, is because of influence in Western media. And so the more you can divert your children away from taking that in, the better. And the more that better leaders they can be.
Propaganda, so to speak.
Yeah, propaganda. I mean, propaganda, and a lot of people who disagree with me on this, they either they just have different views, or they're just being dishonest intentionally.
I wouldn't disagree.
The Western propaganda is telling men not to be men.
Let me give you a genuine perspective, right? Like this is kind of a third party perspective, right? And I don't need to get into details. We're all smart on this panel in the chat.
Sure.
But I think that people in the West they have a lot of time, and then people around the world that have to prioritize survivability are actually seeing this circus show, and they know their governments are even worse, and the circus shows are even more easily exposed. So they're kind of seeing it all as what it is. But we're over here getting caught up in the propaganda. And my perspective is the propaganda over there is even worse. So it's like, if you can see that, then it's actually a good thing to be on this side of the earth. It really is. And look, I have no hate in my heart for radical left and right people who are trying to.
Yeah, I'm wild for that shit.